Good morning. Good afternoon. I'll now call back to order the Pasco County Board of County Commission meeting of March 11th, 2025. Please silence all electronic devices and mute your microphones. We will proceed with public hearings, starting with ordinance item P34.
Yes, ma'am. This item was originally published in the September 13th, 2024 edition of the Tampa Bay Times for the meeting of January 14th, 2025, and where it was continued to today.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay, Terry.
Item P34, thank you, Madam Chair. Item P34 is an ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, providing for a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use map element map series map 2-13 rural areas to remove the subject area and map 2-22 urban service area to change the designation.
Is that, I'm sorry. Is it me, or is the window open, or is that mic not on, or? It's not the first one I heard. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you start over again?
Started from the top.
Go ahead.
Okay. P34, an ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, providing for a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment to the future land use element map series map 2-13 rural areas to remove the subject area and map 2-22 urban service area to change the designation of the subject area from urban expansion area to urban service area, and providing for additional text amendments as necessary for internal consistency, providing for repeal or severability and an effective date. This comes to you with a recommendation to approve the proposed comprehensive plan amendment and adopt the ordinance by roll call vote.
Okay, does anyone wish for a presentation on this? No. Okay, is there anyone in the public that wishes to speak to this item?
We have no one signed up in advance nor online.
Seeing no one, ma'am, move approval.
Second.
Roll call vote?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Wake.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Yeager.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
I am going to vote aye, but I just wanted to say that I had a conversation with the applicant's attorney, and there's a woeful lack of parking up there. And I asked for staff to kind of take a look at it and see what a remedy might be. But you cannot find a parking space up there.
Parking?
Parking, oh yeah. That's where my,
For which?
This is not.
oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Never mind. I'm looking at 41. Clark's probably going, I know what she's talking about. That's not the right number. Okay, I say aye, so that's 5 ayes. Okay, on to P35. Sorry, I have the wrong.
P35, we have proof of publication of the hearing of this matter at this time in the November 27th edition of the November 27th, 2024 edition of the Tampa Bay Times.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And for the record, Nectarios Pitos, Planning, Development, Economic Growth. Item P35 is PDE 250061. This is an ordinance amending the Pasco County Comprehensive Plan, providing for a comprehensive plan map amendment to map 2-1 wells, well fields, and wellhead protection areas to add Hudson Water Works and City of San Antonio wells, and providing for additional text amendments as necessary for internal consistency, providing for repeal or severability and an effective date. This comes to you with a recommendation to approve the proposed comprehensive plan amendment and adopt the ordinance by roll call vote. And there's a presentation if so desired.
I don't think we need a presentation, right? Is there anyone here wishing to speak to this item? Anyone online?
No one online.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
Move approval. Second.
Roll call vote?
Commissioner 1, or District 1, Commissioner Oakley.
Aye.
District 2, Commissioner Wake.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Yeager.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Aye. P36.
P36, we have proof of publication of the hearing of this matter in the February 5th, 2025 edition of the Tampa Bay Times.
Item P36 is PDE 250103. I will read the name of the ordinance, and then there will be a presentation for the record. An ordinance by the Pasco County Board of County Commissioners amending the Pasco County Land Development Code, Section 503 AC Agricultural District, Section 504 AC1 Agricultural District, Section 505 AR Agricultural Residential District, Section 506 AR1 Agricultural Residential District, Section 507 AR5 Agricultural Residential District, Section 509 ER Estate Residential District, Section 510 ER2 Estate Residential District, Section 512 R1MH Single Family Mobile Home District, Section 514 R1 Rural Density Residential District, Section 515 R2 Low Density Residential District, Section 516 R3 Medium Density Residential District, Section 517 R4 High Density Residential District, Section 530.3 Construction of Accessory Buildings and Structures, creating new Section 530.24 Accessory Dwelling Units, Appendix A definitions, and other sections as necessary for internal consistency, providing for applicability, repealer, providing for severability, inclusion into the Land Development Code, and an effective date. There's no action on this item. This is the first hearing, and I'll turn the mic over to Mr. Patrick Dutter.
All right. Good afternoon. How's it going? All right. So accessory dwelling units, I think long overdue.
Why don't you give your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. Patrick Dutter, Planning, Development, Economic Growth. So long overdue accessory dwelling units. So I'm going to read through just some of the language that we have written thus far. Looking for feedback. Again, this is not an adoption hearing. We're just looking for feedback at this point in time. So what is an ADU? An accessory dwelling unit is an ancillary or secondary living unit that has separate kitchen, bathroom, and sleeping area. The ADU may be a separate and detached structure attached to the principal structure, a repurposed existing space within the principal structure, new space within the principal structure constructed simultaneously with the principal structure, and apartment over a garage or similar structural form. ADUs may be approved after the construction of the principal structure or as a simultaneous approval with the construction of a principal structure or with a new dwelling unit. ADUs may or may not be deemed affordable housing. So why do we want to permit ADUs? I think there was a board workshop given, I think, almost a year ago now, talking about affordable housing issues, and ADUs were one of those items that were highlighted as something that can help with affordable housing. But ADUs are intended to provide additional housing ancillary to the principal dwelling unit to increase housing opportunities, promote mixed income neighborhoods, encourage infill development, address the missing middle housing types, address affordable housing needs, and provide housing opportunities to extended families. And then where should we permit ADUs? Zoning districts that allow single-family dwelling units, and in those portions of MPUDs that have single-family dwelling units as principal permitted uses. So what other local governments have ADUs? Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, Polk County, Sumter County, a whole lot of other counties permit accessory dwelling units. And also Pasco County. Pasco County has accessory dwelling units in the county. It's just in very specific MPUDs. Like Longleaf is a great example. Longleaf has some ADUs in that community. So it's not foreign to us either. There was some concern about how many ADUs we would see in the county, because there were concerns that we would see a whole influx of accessory dwelling units coming into the county. We reached out to our neighbors, and generally it was for a year between 100 to 200. So it's not an overwhelming amount of accessory dwelling units, but there are some decent numbers. So that's kind of the numbers our neighbors were looking at. Hillsborough and Pinellas, obviously more so than Polk and Sumter. So into the dimensional standards, so for the minimum size, we're just going to allow the Florida Building Code to dictate what the minimum size is going to be there. For the maximum, we're proposing currently 900 square feet. For the lot coverage, the ADU cannot exceed the coverage of the current zoning district. For MPUDs that make a distinction between principal structure and accessory structure lot coverages, the lot coverages shall be combined. So oftentimes we have accessory structure is allowed a certain amount of coverage and your principal structure a certain amount. We're just combining that number. For height, they shall not exceed the height limitations of the current zoning district for which it sits. Setbacks, the ADU shall comply with the applicable principal structure district setbacks. So just to be clear, we have smaller setbacks for accessory structures, but in that these are going to be dwelling units, we wanted them to follow that of the principal units on the site. And then we wanted to provide some flexibility, right? Because not every site is the same, and we have some people that may want to exceed the size of our minimum, or our maximum of the ADU, or maybe someone wanted to exceed the height for a certain reason. We're going to provide the ability for someone to apply for a special exception to deviate from those requirements, right? Because we can't get every scenario. So some additional development standards for ADUs, parking. So we're providing, parking needs provided on-site unless on-street parking is permitted in the neighborhood. The required number of spaces is going to be pursuant to our current existing code, so nothing crazy there. The location of an ADU may be within a single-family dwelling or with a separate entrance or a separate structure. So people might want to convert their garage that's part of their existing unit. You know, if they, assuming they enclose the garage, they can have it basically attached to their existing unit. In terms of utilities, they may be required to connect to existing water, sewer, electric, and utility providers. And then if it's in an area that does not have, well, is reliant on well and septic, they'll need a letter from the Florida Department of Health for connecting that additional ADU. Continued development standards. So these ADUs need to be on fixed foundations. ADUs must be built on a permanent fixed foundation. This means the unit must be on poured footers, stem walls, and poured piers or engineered slabs. So kind of trying to avoid mobile homes in single-family districts, essentially. Garage conversions, I already mentioned about the garages. For garage conversions, the garage door shall be removed from it, and then the building opening enclosed. And then just a catch-all, the Florida Building Code, ADUs must comply with the Florida Building Code. And then some additional standards. You can only have one ADU permitted per lot. So you'll have your principal structure, and then you'll have your one accessory dwelling unit, no more than that. They are going to, we're proposing ADUs to be exempt from the comprehensive plan and zoning density calculations, including MPUDs. And we are also, this was a planning commission request, so the planning commission requested that, you know, there, with the recent flooding that we experienced, especially back in October, that there are some areas in the county that maybe the infrastructure in relation to stormwater is not sufficient to support some additional dwelling units, even though they are accessory dwelling units. So we are working with our Public Works and Stormwater team to generate a map. And similar to lot coverage and size, if you fell within one of the areas that was prone to heavy flooding or flood issues, you would also need to apply for a special exception, and that would be reviewed by the Planning Commission as well. And that's where the map's going to be, hopefully, one day. Some additional standards. Vacation rentals. Neither the primary dwelling nor the ADU can be vacation rentals unless 402.5.b is followed. So basically, we already have some code that talks about vacation rentals that they'll need to follow. Timing of construction. An ADU may be constructed with or after the construction of the principal dwelling unit. And subdividing land with an ADU. The ADU must remain on the principal dwelling unit's parcel. If a lot split occurs, all subdivision regulations and impact and mobility fees shall apply. And so that's basically the text that we're specifically adding for ADUs. A lot of the, we had to basically change some of the code sections to permit ADUs in the zoning districts. So, so some complementary adjustments. We added a definition of accessory dwelling unit to the appendix. We added ADU as a permitted accessory use in all districts that permit single-family homes. We combined principal and accessory lot coverages in those districts where this has not yet been accomplished. Most of them have. And we removed caretaker units from industrial establishments because they're covered in other Euclidean areas. And then we added a note that accessory buildings and structures shall not be constructed within an easement. And that's it. And open for comments, questions, discussion, anything you want to talk about.
Seth, then Commissioner Mariano.
Thank you. Good to see you, Patrick. First time in your new role up here?
What's that?
Is this your first time in your new role up here?
Yes, it is.
Opening day for you?
Yeah, opening day. Yep.
So, the Airbnbs, you touched on it. We're going to prohibit accessory dwelling units if that home is classified as an Airbnb. I use that as an example because in the Land O'Lakes area, you know, going west, we struggle with the Airbnbs within the lakes communities. And if these things are permitted there, I can see them compounding some of the challenges that we have with the visitors.
Sure.
And the disruptfulness that they tend to bring,
Sure.
some of them, within the area. So what?
Yeah, we're not intending to prohibit. They just need to follow the existing. So there's a separate code section that talks about vacation rentals and a process you need to go through to become a vacation rental, like an Airbnb. So we're just pointing out specifically for people that, hey, this other section of the code exists for vacation rentals, and there's a process there that you need to follow.
So we can, if we know, if they're a good actor and they're playing by the rules and they're registered, we can't say probably not a good idea for you to have an Airbnb as long as it's a registered Airbnb, because we know what's going on there versus it being a true single-family home used as that, not a for-profit vacation spot.
I'm sorry, could you just repeat the question one more time? Sorry.
I understand, I'm all for the ADUs, but
Sure.
using them appropriately.
Mhm.
If we allow an ADU on a known registered Airbnb site, that could compound some of the issues that we have with the Airbnbs, and meaning you have more guests, more challenges that, the known, I'm kind of looping everyone in together because it's the only way you can do it. If they're registered, do we allow those properties, if they're registered Airbnb, do we allow those properties to have accessory dwellings?
Well, that sounds.
Due to that challenge, and I'm using specifically on our lakes where staff knows what I'm talking about. It's been pretty disruptful to the people who live there full time, and they haven't been exactly the best neighbors.
Sure.
So there's pros and cons with everything.
Sure.
This is one of the challenges that I didn't know if we could.
Madam Chairman.
Yes.
Commissioner, I think if that's a policy decision for the board, if the board wishes to not allow them, if it's not being used as, quote, the reason you're adopting ADUs, which is to allow a family member to be there, to allow addition, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But if I think you could legally take the position that if they're using it as a rental unit, as an Airbnb, that we're not going to compound, legally or illegally, we're not going to compound the problem.
Thank you, County Attorney. Well, board members, you've heard my concerns there, so it's up to us.
Just to give some additional background, thank you, Liam. The process to have a vacation rental, I think it's a conditional use requirement, so they'll have to come in for a conditional use. I think in the last year, we've only seen, I think 10 was Liam Devine, Planning, Development, Economic Growth.
But how many do we have? 5,000?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have a lot of unregistered short-term vacation rentals. They are required to go through a conditional use process. We only have about 10 registered and permitted in the county through that conditional use process or through a plat. So all those other ones would be a violation of the Land Development Code because they would have not received that conditional use.
We do need to start getting those guys registered. Yeah.
Just want to ask, looking at that bullet real quick, the intent here is, it says neither the primary dwelling or the ADU can be a vacation rental unless 4.2.5B is followed. Are you making the implicit assumption that at least one is a residence? So for example, I have a home, I live in the ADU, I vacation rental my house, or vice versa.
Mhm.
The intent, or it's to Commissioner Wakeman's point, is already compounding it by allowing now two, or essentially a hotel.
Yeah, I think it was, we're just trying to make the point that if either one were going to be a vacation rental, that 402.5 needed to be to follow.
Either not an and, though, and I guess that's the policy decision that Attorney Snyder was talking about.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Mariano.
I think it's good to just make sure that only one can be an ADU, an ADU that's vacation rental. Either one of the properties, only one of them can be a vacation rental. The other part, push and cannot go.
Okay.
All right, anything else, Seth?
And then incorporate, do we have the notes, the gentleman who spoke earlier in the morning session, public comment?
Mobile homes,
The-
how are they treated?
Yeah, I mean, say you have a mobile.
Yeah, a mobile home would not.
On an acre or two or what have you.
Mhm.
To Commissioner Mariano's point that we were talking about earlier, if we allow a certain footprint, they can have a second home, help them with impact fees or whatever. I mean, it's still a home, and there's people with sizable properties that can, all over this county. I mean, are we just going to exclude them and not give them an opportunity? It's just piggybacking on what Commissioner Mariano was bringing up earlier. I don't think you were here for that, but if
Sure.
Jack wants to weigh in.
So yeah, I might have missed it. So we're talking about potentially including mobile homes as potential uses?
Well,
I would
I'm
not
gonna
want
get to
to.
even bigger, but let's say you get larger pieces of property.
Jeez.
And if
Mhm.
they do have a mobile home, you might have, let's say it's, and I'll talk about your 900 square feet, which I think is too small as well. But you may have someone who's got a mobile home now, and
Mhm.
then they want to go build a home, let's say, on the same property. Let's say it's a 5-acre piece of property. They can meet all the setback requirements. Why wouldn't I want them to go and build an ADU on that property? And I wouldn't want to restrict them being smaller.
Huh?
They build the ADU and then as they're building their future home.
Okay. So I'm not quite sure why we
This-
wouldn't want that to occur, but go ahead.
I think some people might be misunderstanding why we're going, I mean, the intent of this. This isn't to put 2 homes on one lot. This is,
Well, maybe not
and
your
this
intent,
is-
maybe not your intent. But I'll give you the story, and we've talked with staff about this. We're trying to get it where people can actually have a home, someone else can build a home on the same property. The ADU is a good way to go forward. I think for all the smaller lots, et cetera, that, sticking to a tighter unit is good. But if I've got someone who's in a 5 or 10 acre piece and they want to bring a family member on the property, and it can be an ADU, let it be. I don't want to restrict it the way the size is set up to be at just 900 square feet. I may have someone who's got a 1,200 square foot trailer, 1,500 square foot trailer. They want to build a home. Maybe they're going to move into the home, and then the kids are going to move into the other one, or the grandparents, whatever it may be. I want that flexibility built into
that,
this.
well,
So, and I think that's why we added some of the language about allowing for a special exception to go over the 900.
But you create another step of the government for the special exception. I want to build it in right now. We'll lay it all out there where people have some flexibility with their homes. We got people that have been waiting, as we've talked, that are trying to do something similar to what we could accommodate here. Being that I've got this legislation here, I want to put that in play now. So when the zoning stuff finally comes up with the next detail, you can put that in there. But I want to set this
what's
up
keeping
now.
them from doing that now? To build another house on a 5 acre?
You can only have one structure.
Depending on the rules of the subdivision?
Exactly.
Well, they're still going to have to follow the rules of the subdivision.
But
That's what
but
5
I want to give the exception to this here.
This prevents them from having to go rent a place potentially for a longer period of time. There's a lot of flexibility. It allows people to use their property, more flexibility of use of their property. They stay in it and then they build their house and then they have their ADU and kids or whoever move in. That's the whole premise kind of behind this, is to give people more rights to their land.
I am in 100% in favor of ADUs. I've been out trying to do this for over 10 years. We did a development, Longleaf, that has ADUs, and every time developers come in to meet with me, I say, if you do rear loaded, you can easily add an accessory dwelling unit over the garage, and it fits seamlessly into the neighborhood. What I don't want to see is, and it's probably, I mean, some of these districts where you're taking a lot with a mobile home on it and you add another mobile home on it. I mean, that's going backwards, not forwards. So, I actually was gonna say, I think that we should encourage ADUs, well-done ADUs. And I would say, I was having this discussion with David, I don't want there to be impact fees on certain sizes of ADUs because I want people to build them. And so I understand if you go to a certain size, you're gonna have an impact with the school district. So I would say ADUs, and I'm just guessing out a number, 1 bedroom, and David said go by feet, not bedrooms. So 750 feet, maybe? I mean, how much is a space over a garage typically, or a garage? 750 feet would cover that pretty well, I think. I think those should be, if they're on the same water meter and they don't have to have another meter, I don't think they should have any impact fees. But when you're talking about taking a mobile home and adding another one on it, I don't know, I think that's going backwards, not forwards.
And I know, I think probably both of you know, but just to state it, right? If someone has a home and then wants to have a second home on a 5-acre property, we do have the mechanism to do that, which is subdividing and platting. But I know that can be also a little bit
We
cumbersome.
need to make that easier.
Sure.
No,
That we need to make easier.
We have a gentleman who's got a 5-acre parcel in Hudson on Conley Road. I believe it's 5 acres. Wanted to add another unit in this house, and he couldn't. I mean, that was like 3 years ago. Now that market price has gone up, et cetera, so he's probably not going to do it, but I want to give people the flexibility. Now, you got different ways to look at it. Like they said, they only want these in single-family districts. I think that's wrong. And that's, I'm assuming it's the last page, we had all the A's with a circle on them?
Yeah.
Okay, which now you said single-family, so you addressed it with our ordinance. But I want to have people, if they're in, let's say, R4, make it to where they can be this smaller if you want. But if they're in a large, and it could be a 5-acre parcel, could be a 10-acre parcel, let them go figure out what they want to go do. You might have, there's many situations. You can have someone who's got, let's say, a 1,200-foot trailer, maybe a 1,200-foot home, and they want to put another unit on there. And maybe that unit
What do you
must
mean
be
by unit on there? On the house or on the lot?
on the lot.
Okay,
I'm
they want to
talking-
add a cottage, not another house. This is not meant to be a second house.
In your intention, it's not meant to be a second house, but I'm telling you from my get-go with the conversation
That's
about this,
something different than this.
I want to incorporate it until we can get this stuff squared away.
Well, I'm not.
I mean, if I got someone who's got a
We
mobile
got to
home
get an
in
expert
place
up
now,
here that understands ADUs.
if I've got someone who's got a mobile home, right, and it's, call it
Let's help them
1,200 square
build a
feet.
house.
Now they want to go build a house in the same lot, but keep the mobile home so a family member can move in there. What's wrong with that? 5-acre lot now, not R4, 5-acre lot. What's wrong with that process?
I guess there's some areas in your neighborhood or your district
Yeah?
where they got 10 of them on there that we don't even care, I guess. But
No, I think we care, but I'm talking about a specific situation we're trying to address
I
right
don't
now with
know.
an ordinance.
I'm gonna dig
Some-
myself in a hole
Well,
there.
well, something else just to point out too, right?
I'd
So,
like piggyback in the chair. So for example, Moon Lake area, they're all half-acre plus areas.
And you're gonna add more of that to that?
It would allow them to build, if they were to get an ADU, I think it'll lead to bettering the area. It'll allow them to get their ADU. They're staying in that as they're figuring out situation, their situation. It just gives people the flexibility to do more with their property.
I think you are opening up a Pandora's box to a slump. To go backwards.
How, if they have to be on a slab? I mean, look at all the construction
An
rules on it.
ADU is a little cute cottage in the backyard or an apartment over the garage. It's not a trailer next to a trailer. I mean,
That's not what it be.
come on.
The rules on this state slab, foundation, floor building code, it says how this structure is supposed to be built.
Am I misunderstanding? Are they not
It's gonna be a
opening the
different
door
structure
to
than what's.
trailer next to a trailer?
The rules.
Did I not hear that?
well, I think with our language, we are attempting to limit the trailers and mobile homes doing site build ADUs.
Yes, absolutely.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
So then you're comfortable, let's say there's a mobile on the property, and someone's going to build a home or another structure on slab, on grade to the conditions that you're okay with that?
No, I think the mobile.
Why not?
And
Let's take some pictures of what those look like.
A regular home. I got a 5-foot acre lot. I've got a mobile home on it, and I want to go build another home that's 2,500, maybe 3,500 square feet on the same property. What's wrong with doing that?
so I'll just add to one of the,
No, I want her to answer.
okay, sorry.
That's not the intent, is to have two families
Your
living.
intent.
That is what an ADU is, not two families living where one was living. That's something different. An ADU is usually a 1, maximum 2-bedroom. Let's say you have a parent who you want to put a little cottage in the backyard. We had one in my house in Miami. And you need a caregiver for a parent that wants to live on your property, not go into ALF. So maximum 2-bedroom is usually what an ADU is. Very rarely are they 2-bedroom, they're usually 1-bedroom or a great room.
And they're never on a 5-acre. Right?
What?
And they're not usually on a 5-acre, they're on a small, tight community we're talking about. I'm trying to expand it to
That's,
make it more
that is,
flexible.
that is not an, that
I'm
is something
serving a
different.
countywide function here, not just one little area, one little cute little area. I'm looking to try to take care of everybody in the county with this ordinance.
You can't,
Then I want full impact fees on that, 100% impact fees. Because that is something totally different than what we're trying to do here.
you can't dictate.
Can one of you guys speak
You
to
can't
what
dictate-
typically is an ADU?
you can't
and
dictate
are we-
on who's
Are
gonna
we
live there.
veering off from what we started out to do?
I guess one caveat I will add is, to their points, other jurisdictions have size ranges that go from like smaller cities, 400, 500, to larger counties. I've seen some up go to 1,400 square feet. So size ranges can vary depending on location, but I will say that we are, we're trying to, the density restriction, right? We're saying these things don't count towards density. I think the larger you make these and the bigger the impact these things have, the argument doesn't get as strong, isn't as strong once these things become larger buildings. So if we're trying to have ADUs be exempt from the density requirements, but it's
That's
a
not gonna
3,000
apply.
square foot building, that might be a little bit of a struggle.
Madam Chair?
Yeah, 100%.
So if you do a compromise position to that, so let's say you get a 1,500-foot unit now, and you're gonna go build a 2,500 unit now. Give them a credit for the 1,200 next to the 25, now your offset's the same. You have different levels of permitting, impact fees. I think the cutoff is like 1,500. Once you're over 1,500, if you hire that, there's a fee, it doesn't go above that number. If you give a credit for the baseline number of however many square foot, take it off the other unit that comes in, and then you can assess the impact fees from that.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
I don't usually do this, but I'll try and help. The American Planning Association definition of an accessory dwelling unit. An accessory dwelling unit, ADU, is a smaller independent residential dwelling unit located on the same lot as a standalone, i.e. detached, single-family home. ADUs go by many different names throughout the U.S., including accessory apartments, secondary suites, granny flats. ADUs can be converted portions of existing homes, internal ADUs, additions to new or existing homes, i.e. attached ADUs, or standalone accessory structures or converted portions of existing standalone accessory structures,
Right. We converted
i.e.
a shed.
detached ADUs.
But it doesn't say it's a second house or second
So
full
by
home.
definition, it clearly should not be bigger than the primary structure.
Yes.
That would be something other than an accessory dwelling unit, but.
Right,
but
that's another home, not an accessory. That's home number 2. Right? I mean, right, see, Liam's agreeing with me. He can say that because he's leaving now. He's not gonna get in trouble. Are any of you guys, familiar with ADUs that could come up and help this board understand them?
Take a poll.
Why? Because I don't think,
It
you know,
is-
I'm trying to
it
get
is
you
a-
guys
it
to
is
go
a
to
public
ULI or
hearing.
CNU or somewhere and get educated on some of this stuff. And it's really frustrating that you're talking about 2 houses on a lot, and I'm talking about an accessory dwelling unit. And I think it's 2 different things.
Madam Chair?
Yeah?
And hearing the county attorney's definition, I'm not going to argue the point of what the ADU is, but I will tell you, my staff conversations, I'm a little disappointed this didn't come out, and we didn't like try to work, because you know I'm trying to work on people that are trying to build a home with another home on there and bring something forward for that. So I'll say this, after we get done with this conversation, maybe in committee reports, I want to bring it up. That's what I'm trying to accomplish. I was given thoughts where this could be modified to make that work. I'm hearing differently now, but I do want to make sure we can work with the people that live here, 5, 10-acre parcels that want to build another home, to have a family member there, And maybe it's bigger to smaller or smaller to bigger, but I want people to be able to do something with their property instead of just having to sell developers because they can't keep on going where they want to live.
Yeah, I think we recognize what you're talking about. Our subdivision regulations and plating regulations are somewhat cumbersome and can be difficult. We are actively, I think, trying to meet and work on making that process more efficient and quicker. So those scenarios that you're describing won't take years.
And I agree with you. I'll give you an example. Remember Jose? You know Jose, the real estate guy? So there was a home that David Williams built in a subdivision off of Plath. Williamsburg, maybe? Big, giant, beautiful home. And actually a producer from LA bought it. And they wanted to build a little 2-bedroom cottage in the back for when they had family visit from California. And because that subdivision, and it's fairly big lots in there, had already been subdivided so many times, they could not add a little guest cottage. And so what they ended up having to do was build a walkway to the guest cottage, and then it was all the same house, if it's attached. I mean, it's kind of silly. So, I do think there's things that we need to fix, because they should have been allowed to do that without having to subdivide, plat, and whatever that is. So I'm in agreement with you on some things, but I'm not in agreement with you on your big picture, on this one.
On this particular ordinance.
Right. And I don't want to slow this down, because I'm trying to encourage people to add these little apartments over their garages. And we have a developer in here doing a lot of rear-loaded product, and they have a great opportunity to add these. And I say if they're, 750 or below, I don't think there should be any impact fees. If it's a 1-bedroom or just a little cottage, I don't think there's any impact.
Well, why can't we just do the 900 like he was proposing, and then if they needed a special
Well, because I'm thinking,
exception, then they would get the impact fee?
I'm thinking of the house that my daughter's renting. Right, they're moving in a couple weeks. It's a little cottage in Newport Richey, and it's 800 square feet, but it's 2 bedrooms, a living room, a kitchen, a bathroom, a little laundry room. That's kind of, to me, to not charge any impact fees, that's kind of pushing it. At some point, the school district's going to want a school impact fee, and there may be more impact to the neighborhood. I don't know what that number is. I probably should have asked before this meeting what the right number is to be where we don't charge any impact fees. But David said, don't go by bedrooms. He said, go by feet. So
Yeah,
I'm just throwing out a smaller one than 900 feet.
ADUs currently have a reduced rate.
I know, but it's still something.
So I think we'd have to ask the school district what number they'd be comfortable with in terms of basically a de minimis threshold where we shouldn't assess any impact fee. Maybe
Well,
Liam knows.
I was trying to get to a 1-bedroom because a family is not going to move into a 1-bedroom.
So the discussion of planning
Typically.
commission was they'd be assessed a lower rate, which is the multifamily rate. There is a lower school impact fee for smaller, it's the same rate as an apartment,
It's still significant.
but it's still a fee. So if you wanted to exempt them entirely, my biggest concern is schools. I mean, in theory, parks and libraries, there's already a reduced fee for mobility, but we could reduce that further as part of our update. My biggest concern is schools, because that's not just us, that's the school district too. I don't want our board to be just saying they're exempt from school impact fees without conferring with the school district on what square footage they'd feel comfortable. There's basically a de minimis impact to the school district, and therefore we can exempt them entirely. I don't think it's 900 square feet, I'll be honest with you. I'm not even sure if it's 750, but I'd have to talk to Chris Williams about that.
Well, we're in discussion today.
But we can, between now and the final public hearing, we can have that discussion with the school district.
What's your thoughts on that?
Well, you look right first.
Huh?
My thoughts are this, as far as, I want to give people flexibility. If they want to go to 1,200, so be it. If you want to look at, well, if you want to look at the numbers over the impact fee, so be it. But give the people the option. I mean, you could be in a 3,000 square foot home and you want to go over the top of the garage. You may have to take part of the other room and go back, and it may turn out to 1,200 feet, and you may get your son and daughter coming in with their baby, they want to live above you for a year or two while they're trying to get their self squared away, whatever the case may be. Maybe family members or grandparents that want to come down for like 6 months a year, and you want to create that, but they need livable space to go. And my parents separately both live in like 1,200 square foot units. They're both 2-bedroom, but if they had someone coming down, they can accommodate them and not just crush them out of space either.
To
So
me,
I want to give the flexibility.
To me, 1,200 is too big. That's another house. That's a house.
You're being taxed on it. Property appraiser's gonna ding you. You're gonna be paying on it one way or another. It's not like it's a coupon. That person's gonna be paying permitting and you name it. It's not what the county's
Well-
gonna fee them to death. They're gonna be taxed on it, so it's not like they're getting a hall pass on paying into the coffers.
You know, what I don't want to see is a 1,200, square foot trailer, put another 1,200 square foot trailer on their property and call it an ADU. That's-
We're
that's-
back to a different scenario. So
Well,
all
in
those
that
things I
scenario,
talked
your
about-
scenario can happen.
Well, I was talking about 5-acre lots, 10-acre lots. We're now talking about ADUs as the county attorney described it, so it's a different world now.
Could that happen in what he's saying?
I think we're back to the finished floor. The mobile homes, I think, is out of the conversation at this point. So
It
I think
is?
we're just talking about 2 units. Yeah. Two 900 square feet gives you, the 2-bedroom, 2-bath,
Yeah, 900
full-service
square feet is
kitchen.
2-bedroom. 900 square feet would be the max, I think. That's and my daughter's renting 800 square feet, and it's 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a
And-
kitchen, living room, dining room.
And I know the answer isn't the best answer, but there is a mechanism currently to allow you to exceed that if, yes, it is another process that it can be time-consuming, but there is something to go above that.
I want to make it easy. I want to give people flexibility.
I understand.
Well, 900 is a pretty good
But we're
size.
giving them
900 is a pretty good
You're not
size.
getting a special.
Yeah. What about architectural details?
We don't enforce architectural details, at least for Euclidean. For MPUD, we would defer to the MPUD if there was anything there.
I think the commissioner is asking, is there anything in the ADU ordinance that would have an archetectural detail? I guess
Some
the-
places make it match the architecture vernacular of the current house. I mean, you don't,
We're going to be changing the MPUD conditions to talk about, no, actually, we're trying to do the opposite of MPUDs to have them be different.
Yeah, but I think,
Commissioner, I think you may be forgetting that we're preempted on that issue.
Oh, that's true.
well,
Remember the state law changed and we
well,
can't,
did it preempt an ADU specifically?
it preempted our ability to regulate architecture on single-family dwellings. So this is arguably a single-family dwelling. Now, with the MPUDs, they're right. They sometimes voluntarily do architectural requirements, but that's something the developer proposes voluntarily to get their MPUD approved. But you remember the state preemption on this issue.
Yeah.
That answers that. Easy peasy.
You know, be careful what, we need to be careful, but, okay.
Chair, I think Patrick hears us. I think we want to move forward, since it's just a reading today.
Yep.
Maybe set some off-site meetings or what have you, and see what you come up with in your brainstorm room, and then when we bring it back, have something, for final, that way, for the sake of time. I think we're all on the same team here and agree we need to move forward. I don't think this is something I think we should just spend the next hour flushing out here. I think
Sure.
if we meet private, individually, and then go from there and do it.
And,
Work it out.
well, we do want to take public comment. And for the record, for my planners, maybe some architects, Andres Duani's cousin rented our ADU in the backyard. She lived there for years.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Just one quick question. On section F on number 2, it says as far as the poured stem walls, poured piers, does it matter if it's poured or metal?
I
Put that?
do not know. I can get clarity on that. I relied on the building department for that, so I can check with them.
I know some that do metal piers, so if you could put that
Okay.
flexibility in, that'd be good.
Okay, got it. Are you taking public comment now?
Yes.
Okay.
Would anyone like to speak to this? Come on up, Mr. Engineer.
Good afternoon, Board. Jeremy Couch, 6624 Wisteria Loop. So I actually had this conversation with Denise Hernandez probably a year or two ago. One of the things I think you should consider is not requiring it to meet the principal setbacks. It kind of wipes out your ability to build about 90% of these if they have to meet like a 20-foot rear yard and 10-foot side yard. If the intent is to have garage apartments, garages can be built within 5 feet of the property lines. And so in theory, this small dwelling would be on top of that. So, and everywhere you
Do
look,
we have
St. Pete,
restrictions? Did we put restrictions in here on
it
setbacks?
says it has to meet the principal structure, which my neighbor can build a 5,000 square foot metal building 5 foot from my property line, but can't put an air conditioner and a sink and a dishwasher in there.
Yeah, same with my neighbor at Aristida.
So that's
We can
a
have
challenge.
an accessory building, but it can't
It's
have
an
a kitchen.
accessory building, and it
Yeah.
should meet accessory setbacks. Thank you.
I did have a question on, wait, does anyone else want to speak to this? I did have a question, if you convert your garage to an accessory dwelling unit, it's not at the same elevation as the house. Is that an issue with flooding?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
If you're allowing a garage conversion,
Yeah?
garages are lower. Any flooding issues or floor height requirements?
I would assume when the permit application came in through central permitting, they'd be looking at finished floor and habitable space with the building permit application, if they needed to change it.
So if it's an existing house and they're not at the current FEMA BFE, do they have to bring would they have to bring the new unit up, or how does that, I mean, we need to contemplate these things.
Yeah, yes, and that's a, again, I don't specialize in building permitting, but I'm almost positive the answer is that they'll need to provide floodproofing to the unit. If anyone knows better than I do, feel free to speak up.
All right, so these are just things we got to flesh out between now and the next hearing.
Yeah, right, and yes, with Florida Building Code, we have the language in there, so I would think that, yes, if they're trying to turn something that wasn't habitable into something that is habitable, the Florida Building Code would apply, and then, yes, they would have to make sure it's flood-proofed.
Okay. Okay, well, we're taking the action then, right, today? Spirited discussion.
Yes, may so yes, I hear there's some work to be done, but maybe some clear direction on, because I've heard a few things, so I just want to make sure that the direction I go in now is the correct direction.
What direction are you going?
Well, I'm looking for clarity, because there's been a lot of communication, and if there's...
Well, I know I don't want 1,200 square feet, so I think we had some consensus at 900.
No, two.
Oakley, speak up over there. Where are
No,
you?
The consensus was, if we went higher, they were gonna look at the impact fees and talk with the school district and see what the opportunities with that were. So we could go higher, but it may trigger some level of a fee or impact fee, but that's to be determined by getting counsel from the school district, that we were gonna explore that.
I think at 1,200 is the size of a house, and that is a different issue than building a little cottage in your backyard. So, right? Yes. Not that go ahead.
I thought this was about accessory houses, not
Same.
another house being built on the same property.
Right.
And it would be either somehow connected to the main house by a sidewalk or something to it, like if you had an outside garage, you'd change it, convert that over.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be this huge building.
Right.
And you wouldn't be allowing people to come in and build a bigger home than the original home. It'd be an accessory building only. So you're not allowing people to, if you got a property that's 5 acres and you got a home on it, you don't just bring out the fact that you put a larger home on there
Yeah.
just because you think it's an accessory. That's not an accessory.
Thank you.
So that wouldn't be part of this issue right here. So the fact of it is it's a smaller building. Like you're here and you got elderly parents and they want to move near their family and their children so the children can actually help take care of them, and they live in this accessory building.
Yeah.
I thought that was the whole purpose.
That is.
The accessory
Yeah,
building.
I hear what you guys are saying, but that's a different issue
But-
than accessory dwelling.
Yeah, I hear what they're saying, but the fact of it is, we're not putting this up so you got one house per 5 acres to put another home on 5 acres. That'd be 2 houses for 5 acres.
Agreed.
This is not set up to do that, and we're not allowing that, so. This is only for one house, and the fact that if you need an accessory unit, either for a child that's gotten injured or whatever needs extra care, but maybe wants their own little space, that's okay. Or if it's family, I know in Pasco Trails, there's a family out there waiting to get this done so they can build an accessory unit connected to their house that their parents could live in.
Yeah.
And they help take care of them. That's what I thought it was about.
That's 3 votes.
Hang on.
Okay, but I have a very important appointment
Hang
at
on, we're not done
5:30, so
yet.
I'm going to keep this.
So, Commissioner Oakley, so again, accepting the attorney's definition, I'm going to work on the ordinance for the other thing for bigger things, for bigger properties. But as far as this goes, as far as like, whether it be 900 or 1,200, if you got a family, let's say they got a 3,500 square foot home on 5 acres up in Trilby, wherever it may be, and the parents want to come down, but they need room, and 900 is not going to be enough. You're going to tell me that you don't want to allow another 300 feet if they wanted to go do it and are willing to pay the fees?
Well, I think that's something we'd have to
That's
discuss at
something-
the time.
Yeah,
It'd
that's,
have to be a
But if they
special
want more, they
occasion.
could go and, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to make it easy for them. But again, my whole perception of what this was going to be, talking to staff, is different from what the intent of a normal ADU is. I get that.
I'm
But
gonna
just trying to
send you
say,
some
If
information.
someone wants to bring an accessory dwelling unit, they're on a big piece of property, and they want to go to a larger unit, why keep them from if they get the room?
I'm going to show you some. You can take a walking tour in Longleat. Okay, we're going to keep moving.
Okay.
But
Thank
got
you.
3.
Thank you for your time.
Got some direction.
Patrick,
But we'll keep talking.
before you leave,
Yes.
normally you announce when the second hearing is
Oh.
going to be before you conclude.
Okay. Yes. March 25th, I believe.
The agenda memo says March 25th.
No, don't do it that day because I won't be here.
Jack will be here.
And
move
I
approval.
need to be here.
Move approval March
I will
25th?
be in España. Yeah,
Okay.
can't do that day.
All
Has
right.
it been advertised?
I think so, but we'll have to.
Okay.
Okay. We'll make it work.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Patrick.
Good job. That was a lot.
P35, I think.
No, it'd be
Nope.
37.
Oh, 37. I got to get back to my other paper.
37, we approve the publication of the hearing of this matter in the February 12th, 19th, 26th, and March 5th, 2025 editions of the Tampa.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nectarios Pitos, Planning Development and Economic Growth. Item P37 is PDE 250111. This is an ordinance amending Pasco County Ordinance Number 23-08, contracting and expanding the boundaries of Harvest Hills Community Development District pursuant to Chapter 190 Florida statutes, providing for miscellaneous provisions, providing for an effective date. This comes here with the recommendation to adopt the ordinance by roll call vote.
Okay, board members, do you want to see a presentation on this? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to this? Okay, I'll take a motion. Is anyone online for this one?
No, we have no one online.
For anything? Okay, I
So
would
no
ask.
one move approval?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, is this roll call?
call
I'm
vote.
sorry, roll call.
District 1, Commissioner Oakley. District 2, Commissioner Wakeman.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Yeager.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 3, Chairman Stark.
Aye. P38.
Approved. We have proof of publication, again, the February 12th, 19th, 26th, and March 5th, 2025 editions of the Tampa Bay Times.
Item P38 is PDE 250126. This is an ordinance establishing the Harvest Hills South Community Development District pursuant to Chapter 190 Florida statutes, providing for authority and power of the district, providing for powers and duties of the district, providing for the Board of Supervisors of the district, providing for the district budget, providing for functions of the district, providing for miscellaneous provisions, providing for an effective date. This comes to you with a recommendation to adopt the ordinance by roll call vote.
Okay, board members, do you need a presentation on P38? Is there anyone here who wishes to address P38? And we have no one online. I'll take a motion.
Second.
All in favor, roll call vote?
District 1, Commissioner Oakley. District 2, Commissioner Wakeman.
Aye.
District 4, Commissioner Yeager.
Aye.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Aye.
District 3, Chairman Starkey.
Aye. Okay, we're now at the public hearings. Do we need to,
Would you
Okay.
like me to read procedures?
I would, thank you.
There are two rezoning agendas, regular and consent. Staff will present each application to the Board of County Commissioners. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended approval and there's no opposition to the application will be considered by the board without further presentation. If staff or Planning Commission has recommended denial, or if there is opposition to the application, the applicant will be given 5 minutes for presentation. The opposition will be given 3 minutes for each individual or 5 minutes for a group representative, and the applicant will be given 3 minutes for rebuttal. Any individual disagreeing with staff or Planning Commission recommendation, or anyone wishing to object to any condition of the rezoning, may at this time request that the petition be pulled from the consent agenda, in which case that application will be heard under the regular agenda later on during the meeting. Otherwise, all rezoning applications on the consent agenda will be approved by a single motion and vote. If you wish to speak to any petition, please give your name and address and whether or not you've been sworn for the record. These are quasi-judicial public hearings. The law in Florida is that mere public support or opposition of an application is insufficient for this board to take action. Please limit your comments to those criteria found within the board's land development code for rezoning. Mr. Clerk, would you like to swear the public in?
Yes, sir. At this time, anyone wishing to give testimony or speak to any of the rezoning items that are fixing to come up, please stand. Again, if you expect or anticipate that you may give information in any of the rezoning matters, please stand at this time. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that any testimony you will give is the truth, so help you God? Yes. Thank you. Please be seated. When you come forward to the podium, as was mentioned, please give your name and address for the record and acknowledge the fact that you were sworn. Thank you.
Okay, P39.
P39, we have proof of publication in the October 23, 2024 edition of the Tampa Bay Times, supplemented by certified mailings and site postings for the meeting of January 14th, 2025, at which time it was continued to February 11th, where it was continued to today.
Okay.
And it is proposed by agenda to be
Continue, great. So do we just continue it? I can't remember.
Yes, P39 is PD 257651. This is the zoning amendment for Tall Timbers MPUD by Extreme Team 41 LLC, which is a rezoning application to change from AC Agricultural District to CC Connected City MPUD, which is in Connected City in the community hub area. The request is to continue this application to the May 6, 2025 Board of County Commissioners meeting at 1:30 p.m. in Dade City.
Okay, and this was advertised as a continuance?
Yes.
So we don't need to take public comment?
We do not.
Okay, P40?
You need to take a motion, though.
Move to continue.
Oh, sorry.
Yep. Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
P40, again, we have proof of publication of this matter in the October 27th, 2024 edition of the Tampa Bay Times before the meeting of November 12th, 2024, where it was continued to February 11th of 2025, and there it was continued to today.
All right, this
P-
is advertised as a continuance.
Let him read the title in.
Item P40 is PD 257738. This is a zoning amendment in the name of Evans County Line 80 MPUD Master Plan Unit Development by Evans Properties Incorporated, which is a rezoning to change from AC Agricultural District to MPUD. It comes to you with a request to continue the application to the May 6, 2025 Board of County Commissioners meeting at 1:30 p.m. in Dade City.
Okay,
Continuance.
thank you.
Continue?
I need a second. All in favor? Aye. P41.
P41, we have proof of publication of the hearing of this matter in the February 19th, 2025 edition of the Tampa Bay Times, supplemented by an affidavit of certified mailings and site postings.
Item P41 is PDE 250070. This is a comprehensive plan amendment in the name of CPA 2402 HCA Bayonet Point PD, which is an application to transmit a comprehensive plan amendment to the an amendment to the future land use maps 2-15 and sheet 03, changing from ROR retail office residential and Res 6 residential 6 dwelling units per gross acre to PD plan development on 62.98 acres of real property located on the east and west side of 5A Road at the southeast corner of the intersection of 5A Road and Hudson Avenue, and a text amendment creating sub-area policy flu 7.1.83 HCA Bayonet Point PD, and a map amendment to the future land use map 2-9, adding sub-area map 2-983 HCA Bayonet Point PD. This comes to you with recommendation to authorize transmittal of the proposed amendment to the Department of Commerce, also known as Florida Commerce, and other reviewing agencies, and there is a presentation if so desired.
Board members, do you want a presentation? I met with the applicant. Okay. This is the one I want to talk about parking. And I know this is just complicated, but yeah, they don't have enough parking, and so we need to be working with them to figure out a solution. It's probably going to have to be structured parking, but there's no place to park when you go up there to a doctor's office.
You want to pull that, discuss, and go through
No,
the consent?
because this isn't a place to discuss it, I don't think.
No, this is your comprehensive plan
Yeah.
amendment, so
I just
you deal
shot
with it
across
in,
the back.
during the zoning.
Yeah. Okay.
To clarify, we're leaving it on consent.
Let me see if anyone wants to speak about this issue.
Anyone in opposition to this item?
We have no one online, so we'll leave it on consent. Okay, P42.
P42, we have proof of publication, Tampa Bay Times, February 5th, 2025, supplemented by an affidavit of certified mailings and site postings.
Item P42 is PDE 257846. This is a zoning amendment in the name of Andrea and Josephine Manino. It's a change in zoning from an AR agricultural residential district to a R4 high-density residential district in central Pasco County on the south side of Tyndall Road, approximately 900 feet east of Curley Road, containing approximately 10 acres. This comes to you with a recommendation to adopt the zoning amendment and authorize the chairman to execute the resolution. Also, there was an ex parte that was submitted this morning that has been passed to the clerk's office. And there's a presentation if so desired.
Board members, would you like to see a presentation? No. Okay. Is there anyone who'd like to speak against this P43? Okay, seeing no one, we'll leave it on consent.
P42.
Oh, P42. Okay, P43.
P43, proof of publication, February 5th, 2025 edition, Tampa Bay Times, supplemented by an affidavit of certified mailings and site posting.
Item P43 is PDE 257852. This is a zoning amendment in the name of Ben R. Turner Trust, Ben R. Turner Trustees, Pasadena Trail. Change in zoning from an AC agricultural district to an AR5 agricultural residential district in east central Pasco County at the southwest corner of the intersection of Clinton Avenue and Meigs Lane, containing approximately 37.55 acres. This comes to you with the recommendation to adopt the zoning amendment and authorize the chairman to execute the resolution. And there's a presentation if so desired.
just need to note that there's typo in the heading that should probably be a Scrivener, consider the Scrivener's error has been R. Turner trustee.
It's a shorthand is what I understand. That's what the name of the application, but we can fix it if you like.
Okay, does anyone wish a presentation on this one? All right, and is there anyone here to speak against this P43? Okay, we will leave it on consent, and that's the end of our consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. Now we are on to P44.
P44, proof of publication, Tampa Bay Times, February 19, 2025. Again, supplemented by a certificate, affidavit of certified mailings at site posted.
Good afternoon, William Vermillion, Planning, Economic Development. This is item PD 257793, zoning amendment in the name of Arley Ranch, a rezoning request from AC Agricultural to MPUD Master Plan Unit Development. This project is located within 3 villages within the villages Pasadena Hills, Village G, J, and K.
This one?
The star indicates a rough location showing the entire extent of this master plan. It covers 441 acres. Here is that rezoning request on 414 acres for 614 dwelling units. It extends from the south side of Kiefer Road to the north side of Overpass Road. Here is that location map. Here is the comprised villages master plan of all 3 villages. If you were looking at the screen, you can see that the subject site is outlined in a light blue color. Most of the village is comprised of neighborhood general. It has some neighborhood edge along the wetlands in Village K, as well as some core residential as you move down into Village J, which is indicated by the dark brown. The neighborhood edge areas will be comprised of estate residential lots bordering the core reserve wetland there in Village K with a minimum 75 feet in total lot width. Single-family detached makes up the lighter shade brown of the neighborhood general, as well as townhomes in the core residential there along Village J across from Handcart Road. There's one variation request with this MPUD from 901-6011 from street design and dedication requirements to not provide an interconnect to the west due to those core reserve wetlands. They'll never be developed. You can see it shaded there in green. The applicant is just proposing not to make a stub out into the wetlands.
Can you go back to that map? Which ones are you talking about?
Sure.
Because you're showing 2.
It's actually, I'll show you real quickly when I bring up the master plan. I think it'll make it a little bit more clear. But this MPUD spans the portions of 3 villages. It straddles the line in between all 3. So it's a portion of Village K, a portion of Village G, and a portion of Village J. Type 3, Type 2, and Type 1 villages, respectively. So this was what I was speaking to. This is a little more zoomed in. You can see the boundary of the villages there in those purple dotted lines. So the yellow portions there, which is the lightest areas of residential where the estate lots are going to go, is the lowest density next to the wetland, and that's where the applicant is proposing not to have an interconnect because it would just be into the core reserve. That dark brown area is where the townhomes will be slated, and then single-family detached in the brown area. That hatched marking to the north leaves a provision for up to 20,000 square feet of commercial if the applicant chooses so in market conditions in Phase 2, which is allowable under the VOPH comprehensive plan per village. There's 20,000 square feet outside of village center set aside for neighborhood commercial use. On the right side of this master plan, you can see the internal layout of the street network, which is inclusive of trails and paths that follow along the VOPH typical roadway sections, the 50AA and the 70AA typicals respectively, as well as some trails that meander outside of those roadway typicals, connecting the different product types together through the open space.
Are you saying there are trails there that are not just along the road?
Yes, ma'am.
So what design criteria are they trying to get away from besides the interconnected where there's wetlands?
That's the only variation from the code this application is seeking.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
would you go back to the previous slide? And by the way, I think if you're going to do these slides and you have markings on, the marking's got to be a little bit clearer. And, but the previous slide now-
Absolutely. I didn't make these maps. I defer to Mr. Clark Hobby and his team for making the maps.
I'll talk to Mr.
Like a little,
Hobby
shed a
later.
little bit of the blame there.
All right, the previous slide there, okay.
This one here?
Yeah, so as I look up the,
Yeah, I'm
it's hard to
struggling.
point exactly, there's a thin wetland in the midst of the whole thing.
Where are you looking, under Village G? Is that Village G?
Well, it's,
I can't follow your map.
the other map shows,
Okay.
so go back to the other map though, please.
So,
So if you go, just go, bring that arrow straight across, right there. When you go from that point, there should be a connection there because it's a thin wetland over there. Why wouldn't that connect? Or is it?
The roadway or the wetland?
Yeah, you said you don't want to go through a wetland to connect.
No, so their connection is, they're proposing to not connect over here to this area. They are building this roadway segment north, which is a Vision Road, south to overpass, as well as building this Vision Road here,
Okay, because they don't want to go through the
east-west.
wetland.
Yeah, they're
But
just
what I'm
not going to,
And what I'm saying is go up a little bit higher, right across, there's a thin little stretch of separation. No, go down, right there. Go right across, straight across.
right here.
Right
well,
into this.
between there and the road.
Between there and there, it should be at least a stub out to get through, and let that person connect from there to there. It's a small little window.
This yellow space here?
No, there's two yellow spaces in the thin little green space,
Oh, right here?
right there. There should be an interconnection that will eventually connect to there.
Perfect.
I can
Yeah,
understand the
yeah,
thicker part.
yeah.
but
Otherwise you
there
have
should be
to
a
drive all the
connection
way
there.
around.
I can let the applicant speak to that. I don't want to make a decision for him, but
I can draw
I
a
agree.
real pretty bridge with character.
This comes with a recommendation from Planning, Development, and Economic Growth, as well as the Village of Pasadena Hills Planning and Policy Committee. I'm available for any questions.
But I do have a question for you. We don't have a bonding or somewhat binding concept plan on this? So we don't know what we're gonna get?
David Engel, Planning and Economic Development Director. We are aggressively working on bringing forth a policy memorandum proposal to the board dealing with MPUD binding component plans. We had a lot of confusion with the TBBA and some of our stakeholders because there's a contradiction between binding and concept. So what we've done is we've realigned the process to the existing land development code, requiring interpretive analysis for each of the provisions in the code to bind the intent and the context of the board approval. So this plan, it has typical cross-sections and design details of the roads, of the walkways, and also the typical lot layout. And it allows the applicant to have market flexibility to change the mix within the loom, but not exceed or provide a minimum. The minimum has to be provided as well as not to exceed. It's a minimum and maximum to the type of flexibility that we're allowing. So we're meeting with the TBBA next week, but this is consistent with our draft proposal that we're bringing to the board.
It is?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Real quick for the record, I did provide the updated loom as well as the applicant's advertisement to the clerk's office before this.
What does it say? The loom. Is that something that we need to know about?
It made the,
Yes? I need to know what that's, I don't
yes.
have it.
So it made the loom more strict. It established those minimums and maximums that David just spoke about instead of being able to convert at whatever trip rate there is minimums and maximums of what they can and can't convert.
You know, we're asking these questions just for the public's edification because we've chipped away and chipped away at the really cool plan that we had. And I think we want to protect the integrity and the quality of what these villages are supposed to be. And, you know, we're still waiting on our big picture discussion of what we've done. But I know it's changed considerably from when it first started. But, so we have concerns.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Clark Hobby, Hobby and Hobby, PA 109 North Brush Street, Tampa, Florida. I have been sworn at by my wife. You asked about the loom. In this case, Commissioner, the MPUD is very specific about where the uses can go. The townhouses can only go in the core area in the one village that was identified near Handcart. And the loom, the only reason we even have one in this case is when we started off, we weren't exactly sure where the products were going to be limited except by the villages. And so we studied an unusually large amount of single-family detached, and the only conversion that can occur is from single-family detached to the townhouses that we need in that one village core area, or to the retail or office that could occur up on Kiefer that staff pointed out to you in the very small area up there. That's the only conversions that can occur there. And we put mins and maxes for the townhouses and the single family per your instructions, but it does not change where the uses can go in any way. They're limited by both the master plan and the VOPH rules.
Can you, going back to that road network, is that, can I see that again?
I'm going to ask Christy Barrero to come up and help on the plan aspects since she spent a bunch of time working on that.
I like to see lots of cul-de-sacs and things, and I thought we were building walkable communities in VOPH.
Christy Barrero with Height Design, 5904 Hampton Oaks Parkway, Tampa, Florida. I have been sworn. And we have done a lot of work on this project. Taylor Morrison is the applicant. They have been very helpful in getting us through this process. So as you can see on the left-hand side, there are quite a few wetlands on the property, and they're not large, round wetlands. They are strands of wetlands that go all the way through the site. So rather than crossing those wetlands with streets, we have in key locations crossed those wetlands with multi-purpose trails. So the residents can get from one area to the other by, foot, bike, or golf cart, not necessarily by vehicle. But we think that's a good compromise to make this a walkable community. So
Where's the area that Commissioner Mariano was pointing out on this?
So that is in the northern portion of the site. Let's see.
If you go to the previous map, you can see it better.
I know, you can't see it on this one.
So and
It's confusing.
Clark didn't make the maps, I made the maps, but we made them to be a
They're kind of generic.
Yeah, so if you zoom in on your screen, you can see it much better. The map previously showed all of Village K, all of Village J, and all of Village G. So yes, Commissioner Mariano, you're correct. There is a smaller, a narrow portion of the Category 1 wetland that could be crossed, but that upland portion is not on our site. The portion of the upland that is within our property boundary is very narrow. It's currently planned for stormwater ponds and floodplain ponds. So it's a very narrow area that we feel would be better for ponds than for a road, and it's not planned to be developed with residential units in that particular location.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
So the problem is when you're interconnecting and you're trying to fit things in, it may not be good for your plan to be there, but the interconnection for, otherwise people got to drive all the way around to get places. If you can take that connection point right there, that's a benefit for everybody who's trying to get to that Village K over there without having to go all the way around, because it's surrounded by wetland anyway.
Commissioner Mariano, we can talk about it, and I understand what you're saying. I would point out for the commission's benefit, some of the East Pasco commissioners are very aware of this. This was all part of the historic Kirkland Ranch, And they are trying to preserve all of the property you're talking about connecting to. It's been proposed for the last year and a half to be completely conserved and preserved pursuant to a state grant. It wouldn't have any development on it. So we could, hypothetically, on our piece of property right in there, we could build some kind of stub, but it would be cutting off in the middle of our ponds and stubbing to another area where there's a Category 1 wetland this no isn't working. Okay. Right in there, they would, if this ever gets developed over here, and again, they're trying to preserve it all now, they would have to build another Category 1 wetland crossing just to get to where our stub would be. It just, we didn't think it was very practical or meaningful.
Where is the school? If that's Kirkland
It-
Ranch.
Up,
where's
up,
Kirkland
up
Ranch?
in,
The purple
up
in
in
the
the purple
corner?
area, up here, right there.
That's where the high school is?
Mm-hmm.
So all that land is Kirkland Ranch?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And so that's what they've been trying to conserve, and State Representative Maggard, you know, asked that there be a legislative appropriation last year, and I think the governor shot it down. I think it actually made it through the House and the Senate and was shot down, but they're still working on another conservation policy there. Again, this isn't the end of the world for us, but I also just think that isn't a super meaningful connection. I don't think it'll ever amount to anything.
So those two roads are, what roads are those that are going through there?
The road that runs up through that area is called North-South Avenue B. It's one of the vision roads that comes up through our site all the way down here from Overpass, runs all the way up here, and then there's
Not that one, the one going through Kirkland Ranch.
Oh, this?
That one.
This has 3 or 4 different names, but I believe this ends up being, it's called New River, and then it turns into Watergrass Parkway, Magnolia Island Parkway.
But that'll go away, obviously.
If there's no development, I don't know who would be building it. That's the one that when Ray Gadd was at the school board commissioner, that he was trying to make go away for a long time, because it went right next to
It
it.
just clogs up the other roads if we don't have, right?
Yeah, but again, we're not making any decision about that. I want to make sure you all knew the connection you're talking about. I don't think it's ever really going to amount to a hill of beans. So,
What's the blue line?
The blue line, which is much clearer when you zoom in, is the actual property boundary line. So it's a very jagged piece of property. It goes from Kiefer on the north, Overpass on the south, Handcart on the east, and that very large Category 1 wetland on the west.
Well, you know, we have no guarantee that Kirkland Ranch is gonna be taken off, and so I'm kinda thinking, I kinda wanna preserve that connection ability. But what are your thoughts? And then if it does become that, it's just a pedestrian access into the preserve. Speak up. It's just throwing it out there.
I don't know how much is gonna be happening with Kirkland Ranch unless it's get funded for a preserve or something from the state, but they turned it down last year, so.
They turned it down twice.
Yeah. So it's gonna be hard to get that funded for that.
So then it'll be developed, and then there's no interconnectivity, which is a problem. That's when our roads don't function.
And just to bring up the point, in the VOPH Vision roads, there was no Vision Road interconnectivity across that very large Category 1 wetland. So there were multiple north-south roads, but very purposefully, that east-west road was stopped east of the Category 1 wetland because they did not want to cross that environmental area.
Well, I can see that going north-south, but east-west, just accessing all that yellow to the west is something that we should think about.
You're talking about the east-west avenue.
Correct. So east-west street B,
We have Kiefer Road at
which
the top
button?
there.
The top one?
one more time.
Okay. So this street here ends at North-South Avenue B, does not continue west.
Right.
So that was very purposeful when VOPH Master Roadway Plan was created. It does continue farther east and goes up to what we're now calling J. Ben Harrell Parkway, and goes up to the District Park. But the thought was it would be better not to cross that Category 1 wetland.
Madam Chair, if I get a piece of property, been to the legislature twice, shut down twice, I mean, I don't know how I can consider that not getting developed. I mean, you've got a village in there, you've got a road going through there, and if we don't put that connection in, it's this narrowest connection of them all, you miss a great opportunity. Otherwise, everyone's gonna drive all the way up and around to get to that point, circling back down.
Agreed.
So Commissioner, I spoke with our client. We can build it, but I just want to be clear to the board what's happening here. You're talking about us stubbing something between where we're supposed to be building retention ponds.
Yeah, you chose to put it there.
I know, well, we have to have the retention somewhere. That's where the lowest part of the land is. But if we put it in there, it's literally going to be like 100-foot stub. And the only way they'll be using it, because they don't have enough buildable property east of the category wetland, is if they have an impact to the category wetland to cross it. In our business, I think it's highly unlikely that anybody's going to ever do that for that amount of buildable property. But if that's what the board, is insistent upon, we can do that. It's just, it's going to require us underutilizing the area that we would normally use for floodplain compensation and ponds for an interconnection that I don't think will ever be meaningful. But if that's what the board's pleasure is, I suppose we'll have to do it.
I need
Madam
more.
Chair?
Yes?
I mean, believe me, we're struggling putting all these little pieces of the puzzles coming together yet. But literally, you've got a Village K type 3, if it's coming in that way, and it does come in, again, we're back to the same thing of lack of connectivity. If the stub's there, when the guy comes in, if he does all the building, we can say, okay, we're gonna have you connect to the property over there. We can make that part of the situation there.
I understand. What will happen, though, is we'll come back in 20 years and we'll have 125-foot stub into nowhere. But I understand what the board wants, so if that's what the board wants, that's what we'll do.
Is the board asking for a construction of that stub or just the right-of-way so that somebody could later build it?
I think it should go to the property line.
What he's asking is it sufficient if we provide the right-of-way or an easement, which we would rather do than having to permit the construction of a road?
There's no reason to build a road until they develop,
We would much rather do, that would make it a lot easier on us, because again.
And then VOPH would be funding the road anyway.
No, that's not a road that's identified on the master roadway plan.
But if Village K is developed, you can require them to build it.
Yeah, the
if
other
there's
person could
right-of-way
build
to
it
get
if
to
we
that
give the
road.
right-of-way.
Okay.
We'll
As a
do that,
connection.
Commissioners. I think that's a good compromise. Okay.
That was the theory.
Okay, as long as I trigger to get there, okay.
We're happy to answer any other questions you all might have.
Yeah, Commissioner Waitman, and I have more comment on that. Okay.
Well, you want to finish your mindset?
Well, I just want to say, if it does become a preserve, I think that could be an entrance, so I want to say if it does become a preserve, we need a pedestrian access into the preserve. We did that at Starkey Ranch. We have, a bunch of entrances into the park. And if that's a park, then that'd be great for this community, but there should be access into the park from there.
Commissioner, why don't we do this? We'll say that the right-of-way that we're going to provide for the county's benefit, and it will be 50 feet wide, and that will match your cross-section that would allow for pedestrian and road connections for vehicles.
Yeah. Is that good? Okay. All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone?
Question, Chair?
Oh, sure, go ahead.
The loom, in the loom, the 20,000 square feet of commercial.
Right.
Then that's in the potentially that they could loom, the project could loom out.
Right.
What do you think the probability is of that? Kind of hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. You would think over the long haul where the only place this can occur, and it's hard, we don't have the map up now, and we're confusing the heck out of the people running the Elmo and everything, but it's up at where North-South Avenue B will meet Kiefer, and so that's a collector and a collector road over time. I don't think there's going to be any demand for that site to be retail, I would think, in the next 5 years or so, but it could be, and we don't know when it will even develop for residential. And the rules in VOPH allow you to have, in certain villages, up to 3 village centers, up to 20,000 square feet, and so we just put that in there as an option in case, you know, the demand is ever warranted and the property hasn't been developed, but it's a very small piece. Christy, you remember how big it is?
No, it is. I'm hopeful that it doesn't loom out, is what
Right.
I'm saying. So, all right, that's all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else, is there anyone who wishes to speak to this item? Okay, to the board.
Move approval with the noted condition to make the interconnection right away at 50 feet, and that one section discussed.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? All right, you got it.
Madam Chair, just for the record, on P40,
Oh, you said there's an error?
no. We just want a record that the clerk's office received a revised
Oh, no.
village master plan and an ex parte from you.
Okay.
As to this item, which is different from the original distributed.
Okay, P44, no, 45.
P45, we approved publication January 1st, 2025 edition of the Tampa Bay Times supplemented with an affidavit of certified mailing and so forth.
Good afternoon, William Vermillion, Planning Development, Economic Growth. This is a zoning amendment, PDE 257834, Harvest Hills West VOPH MPUD in the name of Galvin Land Services, a rezoning request from AC Agricultural to MPUD Master Plan Unit Development District. This proposal is to allow for the maximum development of 279 dwelling units on approximately 100 acres at the intersection of Prospect and Wirt Road. This project is also within the villages of Pasadena Hills, located within Village F, a rough location here indicated by the star. Here's an aerial view showing the current alignment of Prospect Road and the roundabout there at Murata Boulevard and Curley. This is the master plan for the village, showing neighborhood general for this area, as well as the Village F master plan, which is majority neighborhood edge. A little bit lower density on the southern portion of the site, bifurcated by Prospect Road. This is the master plan for this MPUD, showing the new alignment of Prospect Road that will be built by this MPUD, connecting into the now what will be the double roundabout at Murata and Curley, showing those different densities, of course more dense to the north, less density to the south. However, as we'll see here, the applicant's not proposing to develop the southern portion, so it will be kept as wetlands and conservation, and the majority of that density will be used on the northern portion. These are rear-loaded townhomes.
With possible ADUs.
Yes, ma'am, and they are limited at 900 square feet per the conditions of approval.
Perfect.
Just to throw a wrench in there.
Is that a double roundabout?
It is. It's a figure-8 roundabout.
Wow.
Don't ask me about that one, but
I'm not
Ted
sure I
was
know how to do that.
Ted was kind enough to design that for us and says it's safe enough, so we're excited about it. Safe enough, right? There's the caveat. No. There is one variation request from this MPD from 90160 11th Street design and dedication requirements. They're not proposing an interconnect directly to the north or directly to the south. However, the northern interconnect is taken care of with this new alignment of Prospect Road. The citizens that live in this development will be able to go north on Curley through that roundabout instead of connecting to, there's an existing dirt road along the northern boundary called Leonard, which is not in the master roadway plan. And instead of impacting those residents that use it to privately access some single-family residential, the residents will be accessing Curly via the new alignment and no interconnect to the south because the applicant doesn't intend to develop the south. Per this plan, they wouldn't be able to unless they come in for a modification, so no southern access is required here. However, in the future, residents would be able to access south both on Curly and on Wirt Road, which is a vision road there on the eastern boundary.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
So I'm going to say, I just came from development over off Colony Road looking at the connection. And there's a development to the side of it, almost like this here. And what we did was we put a straight road going through to the other development. Now keep in mind, the development drops down to the backyard.
Is that about Fairwinds?
Or
what's that called?
It's a different name, Brighton maybe? It's on the eastern side. And it's a little dip in the road behind the lots that are there that eventually is designed to make a cut there. Now, Wirt Road, if anybody's been down there, the connection point to that is going to be a long time coming.
I remember.
The connection road to this one here could be a long time coming. But if I can get a north-south connection and skipping a double rotary, and eventually when that thing goes out 50 years later, so be it. I mean, I think you should put a T there, put a fence there, but at least have that access where you can get out there. When it might be 50 years down the road, but not
You're talking about to the north?
To the north, yes.
Well, it does look like there is a T in the neighborhood that could maybe eventually one day go through?
So you're talking about the existing
Would that
Leonard
be-
Road intersection with the current alignment of Prospect, if I'm hearing you correctly?
To the left side of the picture, we have there's two green areas in it, two big rectangles. To the one to the left side of the screen, going straight up, is a road there.
Yes, sir, that T intersection will be left there and Leonard will be untouched.
But there's no T, it's yellow there.
This is a current T intersection. It's tough to see with this aerial, but Leonard Road does travel along here to this T intersection where you can go up north to current Curly and then accesses these homes down here. It'll just be left untouched in its current condition just because it's not on the master roadway plan for the villages of Pasadena Hills.
All right, but you just don't listen, I don't think you're getting my point. The road that's above it, there's no T connecting to there, at least that I can see.
You talking about Leonard?
Leonard, I guess. There's,
Oh,
there's no north-south connection potential for Leonard down the road.
I'm not sure I understand the question
All right, so
fully.
the north-south road,
No.
it's a simple road, I don't get it. There's no road connection in the new development to go north-south.
Runs off the street. There's a T intersection there.
I'm gonna have a different question. It has to be with a multi-use path.
Are you pulling up Pasco map?
I'm on my iPad
being
here.
extended up to connect to Leonard. Internal.
So he wants you to connect to Leonard.
That,
through
I
that
think
north
that's
south.
what he's asking.
Is that,
Then they're not cutting, are you talking cutting into this area?
Is Wirt a dirt road?
portions?
Yeah.
It's constructed in some southern segments, and then in this area, it is a dirt road.
We've had folks from Wirt in here.
Village Green was one of
Yeah,
those
it
that was
backs
on
up to
Wirt.
Wirt. My favorite.
Yes, ma'am.
My favorite.
So right
Huh?
in here.
Not on this project, on another project.
What are you talking about? So right here.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no connection going that way. And I'm saying that maybe 50 years before it ever connects, but eventually you should have a connection, potential to open up there. The development I just saw in Hudson, we just had approved, it goes in the edge of a neighborhood, kind of like this here, that may never connect. But they teed it out at the end, put markers at the end. They didn't even put the fence there, which we should put the fence there.
But you see where there could be a connection? Go to your left, right
that.
there. That could continue on one day.
Well, why not just have it straight?
Well, that's a major road there. That's curly. That's a really wide road.
Cutting through the neighborhood.
Yeah, you can't have that. I mean, they've realigned Curly.
That's
what I was
put
going
up
to
the
do.
right
Actually,
of
I
way.
mean, you talk about connectivity.
It gets
No,
more-
I think it could connect, but not with the major.
It gets more complicated because of the realignment of Prospect and
Yeah.
Curly. So William's gonna put up the other graphic that shows
Okay.
you the change in condition.
But I see what you're saying. I
Well,
just,
let
I
me-
think, but the hierarchy of roads is wrong for that to happen right there.
Maybe this is a little more helpful. This is our right-of-way exhibit where the existing in yellow is being moved now into the future.
The yellow is current Prospect.
Correct.
Joel, identify
Yeah,
yourself. for the
I'm
record.
sorry. Joel to 4700 Ridgeview Road, Palm Harbor, Florida. I have been sworn for the applicant. Just for clarification, the yellow highlighted part is current existing Prospect Road, where it curves and goes north, just to give you a little better of the existing condition from what, and the master roadway plan has always contemplated this change. It's always contemplated reconnecting Prospect to Curly at Murata. So we're simply implementing what the master roadway plans contemplated. I get your point. The question is in the after condition, and that's all I'm suggesting, is look at this in the after condition. I think the concern is those folks along Wirt Road, they do not want to be integrated and connected to the new project. They like their separate lifestyle, and it's not just one or two, they're all along there. So again, I think if you're going to require a connection from our project up to Wirt, I suggest that we be cautious.
I think you should have a future up to Leonard, and then one day that gets
Well,
added to your
I meant to
project.
Leonard, but see, those people, they live on Leonard and they access,
Don't connect it now.
Right.
Just saying, keep the ability to connect it when
Right.
they come in.
So the question is for Mike and Seth, is do we have, since we're not developing anything south of Prospect to be able to rebuild the road, provide the floodplain, the drainage, we also have to provide for all that right of way for Curly. So since we're pushing all the density north and doing all rear loaded product, my question for the developer is, do they have a spot along the rear loaded that they could provide the same type of right-of-way, if you will, the same solution you had on the prior matter, but without constructing? Because we do not want to be the ones to construct a connection to those people on Wirt Road.
I'm not looking for a
Right.
connection. I'm just looking
So,
for.
let me ask if they lose a building or a unit in doing that. That's the question.
Well, I don't see why you would, and Jack and I may
Well,
be
go back
talking
to
about two
the- go
different
back to
things,
the,
but the intent is the
concept.
same.
Can you
If
go
you
back to
put
the
up,
concept plan?
the concept plan,
Go back to the binding plan.
and you look to the
So it-
leftmost units, right? That
Well,
ends,
it would be between, and
That could
you tell me,
conventionally-
what is the north, your westernmost north-south drive?
yes, that one. One day could, if that property north of you
You see where she's talking?
became available,
they're
could you
talking
not
about-
extend your
That makes a big circle.
development into there and,
Yeah,
Like
the
right
north-
here?
No, yeah, right on that.
right there?
It,
It could
Right.
one day maybe continue on into that land
yeah.
there.
we can provide
I think the answer is yes.
Yes.
And they would align it wherever our westernmost north-south
Right.
drive goes, if you're okay with us picking that spot wherever that falls. And just doing the right-of-way provision. That would be fine.
Right, at least.
As long as it's not connected now, because that'll cause a lot of
Otherwise,
blowback.
They're on a little island right there, which is dumb. I do have a question on multi-use trails. When I look at the map on Murata,
They're just talking about you getting a
you know,
connection to.
I don't understand their plan.
Chairman.
I'm still working on that, but it looks like there's a multi-use path around the traffic circle, but then it goes into a sidewalk. And so who's building that? Who's building the new alignment?
We are,
Oh,
That
so you're
was,
following the prescribed design that has a multi-use path on one side? Okay.
this, right, this realignment actually was already approved in the funding and development agreement, which you approved. This MPUD was pending at the time, but we contemplated this. So yes, Galvin is actually building this whole new road segment, exchanging right-of-way, and all of that's already covered by the development agreement that you approved just a few months ago to exchange right-of-way, and we build it. And the design, any questions you have about the double roundabout and the design, you need to discuss with the county engineer, because we're doing what the county engineer has directed in that regard.
Yeah. Okay, question from Commissioner Wheaton.
Madam Chairman, I don't want to cut the commissioner
Go
off,
ahead.
but they've sort of started a presentation. I don't know
Oh.
if they have a presentation
Not
that they want
really.
to do, or they just want to answer questions.
We just want to answer their questions.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Good enough.
Okay.
So, questions about the road, probably less to you guys, but to our county. So, this is a main path to the northeast transfer station. You have walking floor trucks coming in and transferring trash, and trucks getting to and from northeast transfer station.
Where's that?
Off Handcart, and Prospect is heavily traveled. So this double roundabout, which, forgive my ignorance, I'm not even sure how the heck to even drive this thing based on this picture. Is this efficient enough to handle just that level of commercial traffic to get to and from? I mean, you're talking tractor trailers, you gotta figure out how to get 252 from there, unless, you know, I don't know the timing of the handcart extension to the new 52. But you're talking county logistics and essential services.
They would just keep going north.
Depending on the timing of what these two roadways, when they're built, and then the path that they're going to go. So I guess that's more.
Commissioner, if I may, I think we will have handcart built before this. I think.
The extension to 52?
Correct. We're also obligated, I think we will have the new handcart north to Clinton constructed prior to this, so you could come straight out of that transfer station at Tyndall and handcart and go straight. It's already under construction and will be completed all the way to Clinton.
Okay, all right, good. That answers that question.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
So again, just to kind of close the loop, this whole infrastructure, including this segment, was part of that $80 million commitment that Galvin has already made under that master development agreement. And this is essentially an infill project. And how we got where we are is the Benedictine sisters were not inclined to just sell the right-of-way to the county. They wanted to sell the entire parcel, and the way Galvin solved that for the county was Galvin stepped up and bought the entire parcel and then decided they would make do as best they could with providing the right-of-way and then just developing the part they could develop. So, you know, for only not very many units, it's a huge financial undertaking to solve this road problem. So that's how we got there on this particular project. And as we said, all of those units are 100% rear-loaded, which of course is above and beyond meeting design desires. And this will be, one thing about this is assuming you can negotiate the double roundabout.
I can't figure it out.
I've been around one in Scotland and I think maybe one in Ireland. But the beauty of this, if you think about it, is this entry coming in off Curly Murata. It's going to be really a dramatic entry in because this is the northwest corner of VOPH. And so you're going to have all of this green space to the south when you come around and make that entry. And then the only thing you're going to have to the left are these rear-loaded products that all have front of house, you know, without driveway and without garages. So it's going to be visually, it should be a very attractive window into VOPH with a lot of green space on the south and rear-loaded products, so you're not looking at driveways and garage doors the minute you come into VOPH. So I think it's a good solution for that property. 74% of this property will be open space, almost 3/4 of it. So it's a substantial deal. So if there are any other questions on this one, we're happy to answer them. The next one's also an infill project that relates to the ability to build handcart, but we can talk about that in a moment.
Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak to this item? All right, well, I'm just hoping this developer would buy more and more land. So I'm glad to see him coming in, because I think he's doing what we envisioned that this neighborhood would be. So, okay, and no one's online? No more public comment? All right, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Add your right-of-way.
Okay,
What's that?
P40.
You need to add your right-of-way condition.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to be
yeah.
comfortable with you guys figuring it out to let it go, because as Commissioner Stark says, something's going to come up there, and you guys can figure out where you want to put it and make it work.
I mean, yeah. Okay, I've lost my next page. We're on P46.
Before we get there again, for the record, that we have received a public communication from staff, Darby on both 45 and 46.
46. Somewhere around here's 46. I'll do it over here.
As it relates to P46, we have proof of publication on the Tampa Bay Times, January. I'm sorry. We have proof of publication, Tampa Bay Times, January 1st, 2025, supplemented by affidavit of certified mailings and site postings. The item was continued from the February 11th, 2025 meeting to today.
Good afternoon. William Vermillion, Planning Development, Economic Growth. PD 257842, zoning amendment, Cologne, VOPH, MPD, Galvin Land Services. Restart? Okay. William Vermillion, Planning Development, Economic Growth. PDE 257842, a zoning amendment in the name of Cologne VOPH MPUD, Galvin Land Services. This request is from AC Agricultural to MPUD Master Plan Unit Development. The proposal is to allow for the maximum development of 117 single-family dwelling units on roughly 60 acres. This is at the southwest corner of Williams Cemetery Road, Basin Lane. Here's the location map within the villages of Pasadena Hills. In Village C, right on the southern boundary of Williams Cemetery Road, which connects to SR 52 Clinton. Here is the location map showing the current homestead on the property, Williams Cemetery Road, and you can see a little sliver of McCabe Road there. Here's the Village C master plan, highlighting that this is a portion of the neighborhood edge, the lowest density in VOPH. This is the master plan, again, showing the village edge, 2 dwelling units an acre. The master plan also shows that out of these 117 units, 6 of them will be used for estate lots on a minimum ½ acre. You see those in that upper left-hand corner where the existing homestead is. The current property owner wants to keep that piece for him and his family. They'll be accessing Williams Cemetery Road. The other 111 units will be 50 feet or greater. Here is the binding MPUD plan showing the layout proposed by the applicant. That north access to Williams Cemetery Road and the conditions of approval. At first, that will be an emergency access, until which time Williams Cemetery Road is updated to county standards, which would be by the neighboring MPUD. Once that happens, this access would turn into a full access, so the citizens wouldn't have to go south to connect up. They would just use updated Williams Cemetery Road to connect to McCabe. But for the time being, the estate lots will continue to use that dirt road that is substandard currently. One variation from 901-6011, this is to not provide the interconnect all the way to the south. There is a large wetland there, however, the citizens will be able to get south with that western connection. It will go through the existing Harvest Commons MPUD to Handcart Road, where you can then go north and south. this comes to you with a recommendation of approval with conditions from Planning Development, Economic Growth, as well as the Villages of Pasadena Hills Planning and Policy Committee. I'm here if you have any questions.
I have no questions. Does anybody else? Commissioners? This is a public hearing. Does anyone wish to speak to this? Okay, seeing no one, I'll take a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, we are to commissioner items and board reports. Does anyone know where this picture is from?
AI.
Where?
AI.
Oh,
Did you say the same thing?
The
I don't know.
alternative universe.
I was in something like that in Brazil, where the, near the Amazon, where the bamboo was growing like that. It's crazy. And it makes quite the sound when the wind's blowing, knocking. Okay, I'm gonna start with Commissioner Oakley.
I actually have something to bring to the board. It's, let's see it. Go on to wait and I'll bring it back up. It's not
Okay,
in my-
Seth,
It's not
you
in my
want-
paperwork.
All right, Seth, you go, and then we'll come back to Commissioner
Right.
Oakley.
Let's start with some good stuff here. So, I'm going to give a shout out to John Tillman and his company, Certified Services. I've talked about them every year during the Great American Cleanup and Keep Pasco Beautiful. They cleaned up about 1,700 pounds of trash up and down Old Pasco Road, along Wesley Chapel Boulevard, and cleaned up a homeless camp. And so
wow.
they're always up to doing good in the Quail Hollow area, and very proud of John and his team for taking time out of their work day and cleaning up in our county. So thank you to John and Certified Services. There we are there. Next, and Jeannie Germain's here. And Jeannie, come on up. So we are one of our board appointment updates on the human trafficking. Had a nice discussion our last meeting, and we're working on our campaign, coming into the campaign for this year. And we're looking at using the $10,000 allocated to the Human Trafficking Board to embark on a sexting and sex trafficking or sextortion campaign through the social media that's done. And so we're talking with Tax Collector's Office, Mike Fasano and Tim Kuitt. Their office is fully 100% trained through the Attorney General's office in human trafficking. And we'll be working with them and putting different pieces of information into their business tax receipt flyers that they send out to all the businesses every year in the county, and taking advantage of all the mailings that they do. So I want to thank them for their partnership and future help with that. And then in the same week, we went and over Generations Church in Trinity celebrated the groundbreaking on Bridging Freedom, which I'll let Jeannie, as the representative here from Rotary, tell the story there. But it's all started with Rotary and trying to capture funds to expand a housing campus for abused and
Is that the one Dr. Gills donated?
trafficked girls. But anyway, so I'll let Ms. Germain hit the show and tell the story, and all the Rotary clubs that were involved. It's just a beautiful, beautiful community effort here.
Yeah, so we're going to go back 2020 when I was district governor of District 6950, which is 4 counties. It's Citrus County, Hernando, Pasco, and Pinellas. And I had my conference down in Naples. Of course, it was coming out of COVID, and everybody wanted to get together. So we went to Naples, and Alan Wilkett came as my speaker, and he said, "Are you really sure you want to do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I think this is a subject that the public needs to hear." And he brought a panel with him that included a survivor. We had Linda Hamilton there, who's a director of Bridging Freedom, and several others on the panel. It was gut-wrenching. I mean, for 2 hours, we heard stories of different things that took place in our county, which was sickening. And then to actually hear a survivor speak and the other ones go along with it. But it raised the awareness that we wanted to be involved. And so Wesley Chapel Rotary took the lead, and there's not a Rotary Club in the district that did not participate in some way financially. And they raised $435,000. Wow. And with that and the partnering of a lender, they were able to do the groundbreaking on the, what was it, a week ago Friday?
A week ago. That
we were there, the 28th, and for 2 homes. And so we're pretty excited about it, and anything that the county will do to get the word out. I mean, it scares the daylights out of me to think that my grandchild could be picked up somewhere along the line and trafficked. And it can happen to any of us. For us that think that it can't happen, it will. And I think you have blinders on if you don't think it's happening around here, because it is. And Florida is the #1 target. In the entire world, Florida is #1, and it's scary to think that it's in our backyard. And I think that the people need to wake up and get involved and try to stop it somehow, protect our children. So thank you for letting me speak.
And if you notice the shovels, each shovel is
Oh,
painted
yeah.
by one of the
One
girls.
of the kids that
They're
are there.
the kids that were escaped.
And
Kids,
each,
children?
the children, yeah, these are children that are already housed at Bridging Freedom that took the time to paint each one of those shovels, and each one of them had a message. And it is emotional when you look at it and you see their message on there. It's they're pouring their heart out and painting. You know, Alan, if you've ever heard him speak, he brings you to tears because it's a reality for him. And to hear him speak every single time, it's a different story and a different child. And it's how can this continue, and how can we stop it? So anything that the commission can do, I am greatly appreciative of. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Madam Chair? So this is with Laura Hamilton,
Yeah.
right? I've actually reached out to her as well, and I've sent Mike some information on it, trying to do something through the CBGDR, at least for the lodging parts. It may be an opportunity we're trying to work on it.
Sounds good.
That would be awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that, Commissioner.
And remember, we have a group of these women who come to AmSkills every Thursday and are learning a trade and making things and recovery.
Awesome with the work they're doing out there.
But this, it just shows the work that, the collaborative effort that the Rotaries and this district
awesome.
get together, and they come up with an idea and the collaboration, and here we are a couple of years down the road where people thought it was impossible, and
No, we were told it was going to be
yeah,
impossible.
told they were
so
impossible. Listen to the
tell us
story,
it's
and-
impossible. We're going to show you it's not.
And here they are. So, you know, wonderful work. A great day to celebrate helping people in a bad spot.
So you're doing this at Generations because
No.
the residence is anonymous?
Correct.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yep.
for their safety and security.
Yes, exactly.
I'd just like to mention that due to the nature of the things the clerk's office deals with, we too have participated in the Attorney General's training programs that were 100%, except for new people that were in the
Exactly.
process of, to be aware of, because we see things coming in for
I'm sure, yeah.
marriage licenses or passports that don't necessarily look right.
Are we a 100% organization?
Almost, right?
The awareness training, that's, I think I've mandated the end of next month to have that completed. We're at about half the organization at least.
Okay.
If not more.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
And a couple more things.
Let's not finish, so we'll come back.
So we also had our Springs Coast meeting. The 5 projects, a handful of projects were sent to the governing board of the district, and they were approved, so it's just rolling through that process. And I don't know, outside of committee meetings, David Goldstein, do we want to talk about the new Live Local bill update, or is now not? Should we wait? I bring this up because it makes it worse.
I may need to bring Ralph up here too.
Oh,
'cause I
they're
don't-
so
And
I don't know the latest on that.
I made a promise to, if there was any movement on this topic, that we would swiftly bring it to the board and discuss it, because we were tip of the spear last year, and I figure.
So
we just need
Ralph did make me aware of a bill that's pending that does make Live Local worse. I don't remember the bill number, Ralph.
to- Here, let me pull.
There are two bills, 943, House Bill 943 and 1730.
1730 is probably the more egregious one, although 943 is almost as bad. But notably, it basically not only preempts everything Live Local preempted, but it also preempts Live Local related moratoriums, which we've talked about in the past. I know Commissioner Mariano's brought those up, and that bill would preempt moratoriums. It also arguably preempts our ability to do deed restrictions to attack Live Local.
Oh.
And potentially makes us subject to attorney's fees if we litigate Live Local. So basically, everything that we've talked about doing to fight Live Local and have done to fight Live Local, this bill attempts to preempt. So yes, it does make Live Local substantially worse.
Whose bill was it?
It's the same sponsor who sponsored
Vicky?
Live Local, the legislator from South Florida. She's from
Oh,
South
Vicky.
Florida.
Vicky Lopez?
No, Calatayud, I don't know how you say her last.
No, it's,
A lot of you.
Well, there you go, thank you.
What is it?
But is she senator? She's the senator.
She's a senator.
But the House last time was
Yeah, who's
Vicky.
carrying
It's
the
Vic,
House?
Lopez.
I'm surprised that she's doing that.
Weren't those the two that ran the original
Yes, they are
Live
the
Local
ones
bill?
that
Yeah.
ran Live Local, and they're also the ones that ran the Live Local amendment last year. Now, technically, Senate Bill 1730 does not have a companion bill in the House yet, but I think it's just a matter of
Well-
time before they
Well,
reconcile these two bills
Yeah,
to
they're-
match.
they're Re-lobbying
They're
folks.
2 years in a row being successful in getting their Live Local languages passed, so why wouldn't they do it a third time? They've essentially taken our playbook to defend ourselves and our job-creating sites that produce an economy and are using it against us. That's what the legislature.
I think that's accurate, and, you know, it does beg the question, should we even continue to approve new industrial and commercial and mixed-use zonings if we can't even protect them with deed restrictions and the things that we've been doing? So, you know,
Madam Chair?
everything I've tried to do to fight Live Local, this bill attacks,
Unless they
basically.
come in with the buyer, you know, and it's not speculative industrial, obviously. I mean, that,
Now, by the way, the other thing this does is it makes it clear it applies to MPUDs, which the prior legislation, it was not clear it even applied to MPUDs. Now, this clarifies that it applies to MPUDs as well.
Madam Chair?
yeah.
So it's clear the apartment industry's got a hold of the Senate and legislature. Now, one of the things when we hired the third lobbyist this year was that we had a good, strong connection with the governor. I think we're going to need to have those.
We need to go have a
meetings
discussion.
scheduled up.
Yeah.
Now, my understanding is these bills do need to go to the Rules Committee. Is that accurate?
The rules
Yes,
should
but
go to the Senate, right?
isn't the Senate president in charge of rules?
Yes, although we do have 3 members of our delegation on rules
No,
as
no,
well.
no, no, we got all written now.
Yeah.
No, that's the Senate President. He's correct that the
Pasadomo.
chair of the Rules Committee is Pasadomo.
Ralph, can we meet?
And by the way, and the other committee this goes to, I believe, is Community Affairs, which Pasadomo is also on that committee as well.
Governor?
Can we meet before Monday, before I go up there? Maybe I can talk to.
I think we're all going, who's going up? We're going up on Tuesday.
Good time for a discussion on that right now. So next week, currently, we only have 3 going out. This was a different event. FAC is meeting on Wednesday of next week. Tuesday is the Greater Pasco Chamber, along with Representative Yeager, have put together a Pasco Day.
Yeah.
I've reached out to Representative Yeager's office today to see if he has put together a timeline. What they will be doing is having, I think, one big group meeting in the chamber, am I correct, Commissioner? Where they'll have speakers coming in, to meet with them.
I think they did that last time.
Yes, and then they may have office visits where they're going to. Again, this is a busload of people that have signed up to go up with the chamber. So usually they don't give them office visits, they do it in the chamber.
But isn't this fact legislative day?
And then it's FAC Day on Wednesday. So that's why two of you existing are going up. We have two commissioners going up, you and Commissioner Mariano, and then Commissioner Yeager is going up because Representative Yeager is doing this event with the Greater Pasco Chamber.
Are you staying through Wednesday? So can we get some appointments, please?
We can do that, yes.
I mean,
Yes, we will be doing that. So just so you know, on the bills that were brought up, so FAC reached out to the counties and asked for feedback on 3 of the growth management bills. I gave that to them today. They reached out to us on Monday. I also supplied the responses that we gave to FAC to our legislative team, or our lobby team, so they are aware of it. So that's where we are as of right now, is that I've started the discussion, started them, to say, here's where we're at. How do we engage going forward? Should we be more vocal here at the local level, seeking their input on that? And we'll have that hammered out before the end of the week.
Okay, well, this will be a good time, while it's still very early in the session, to
And
get our voices heard.
I'll say the same thing I said to Ralph, which is we've sort of found a way to live local. Sorry, that sounded bad, but the current form of live local, we found a way to manage it because of our deed restrictions and everything we do. If this passes, it's going to be almost impossible.
Right, so I think that's a warning shot that we won't do industrial and commercial conversions. And so we need the
Or
development
MPUDs. I don't know.
community to help
I don't know
us.
what zonings you still could approve if this passes, if you're trying to avoid live local.
Well, we just build more parks. So anyway, David, Ralph, thank you.
All right.
Chair.
Okay, Commissioner Oakley.
I have an appointment for the Emergency Medical Services Advisory Board. The person that I had on that board at the time has resigned, and I would like to recommend Dr. Christian Sobsky from Bay St. Joseph's Hospitals.
Is that a
As
motion?
replacement. That's the motion.
No, I need a second. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay.
Aye. All right, thank you.
Is that all you got?
And that's everything.
Okay, and you're not coming to Tallahassee next week?
Going to what?
You don't want to join us in Tallahassee next week?
Okay, yeah, I'm going to Ralph, whenever Ralph goes.
Well, Ralph's going to Tallahassee, so maybe you are going and you don't know. Okay. Okay. All right, so now we're on Commissioner Yeager.
Okay. Well, first on the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board, we had membership changes, added some folks and alternate, as well as remove some. Updates were presented for Go Pasco Transit Development Plan. Board members made recommendations to include more messaging and outreach. And Go Pasco presented updates on recent outreach events that were done in the community. So here we are on to the Elfers Senior Center. I think Catherine brought this one up last time, where the ribbon cutting, and the gentleman that cut the ribbon also attended the school.
Yeah.
All right, next slide. Okay, this is, I think you, yeah.
Yep, Baycare.
Yep, Baycare, you were there again. And this is the first behavior health urgent care in the state, so we're very excited.
Very proud about this one.
Yeah, really excited. Hopefully there'll be many more to come. Next. February we did random acts of love, and these were just some foster families, and we did Pasco Hope. We also went there and visited them. Next slide. Oh, and this was this was a charity event, and oh boy, between Seth and Jack, that was interesting. I came in third place, and I don't cook, so I really deserve last place. But I think you came in last place, didn't you?
Yeah, they gave me a medal. I gave it back. I gave it back.
You wouldn't take it. All right, next slide. Up, and that was just opening session. Went to Tallahassee, and the ladies had a ladies' lunch at the governor's mansion with Casey DeSantis, and we just discussed Hope for Florida and just expanding that initiative. So I'm looking forward to getting plugged into that. And that is all.
Commissioner Yeager, you have any other VIP lunches coming up here? No, I think it's.
Tony's got a few pictures for me. We'll see how the lineup goes. We'll just go with them. We can try to keep the Colony Road ones till last.
Okay.
We'll get to the fluff stuff first. I was up in DC. That was a 5 for 5 luncheon.
Luncheon or dinner?
Dinner. Dinner. If anybody wants a medal, there's one probably at the table over there.
Did you like my toast? I worked
Very
hard on
nice.
that toast.
So this is a living shoreline project. I've heard staff talk about it many times, but at the Restore Act Council, they had a presentation done. I met with Mary Walker, who's the head of the council, which is Part 2 money, and this could be something you could see coming forward from us. Anthony, Colleen, and the whole team are actually looking at this project here to see how it's done. It protects waves and slows them down from coming in. And with all the canal restoration, I think it's going to be very economical for us to do it. And we can use combined money to actually cut the cost down. Yeah, next slide. That was the Bay Care event. And this is the NACE conference, which I talked to Mike Carbella and I talked to Nick Urin about joining NACE, National Association of County Engineers. Margaret used to go to it. And I know when Nick first started, just didn't quite have the time, but I think it's an organization that is worth him looking at, and he's going to talk to Mike about it as well. That was in front of the U.S. Department of Transportation. So I got Mike, JJ, myself, and that's Randy Shane from APS.
Yeah, that was crazy.
You guys look old.
I want to tell you, the difference in going to D.C. from years ago, just phenomenally different. Other than when Trump got elected, we went up for the Ridge Road project and how we get received in a positive way there. The DOT was phenomenal, and they had some good young folks that were listening to us. It was the day before the federal group where they all get together in a room. We kind of go table to table, and they were so receptive to everything we're talking about. Our main focus was that US 4154 corridor overpass. They were great all the way through. And then when I talked about the spray jet paving, which costs very little more money, but you get a much better bond because it's a better polymer, better process. They're actually going to work with FDOT to go study the specs and maybe bring it forward. They were all about trying to do efficiency. And they asked a really good question. The one girl from, that was, I think, the Intergovernmental Affairs, she says, what's the return on investment? So I've got them studying to get that number to get back to them to get to the numbers. So it was a really, like I said, super receptive up there. And Congressman Laura Lee was up there with our firefighters as well. She was very helpful. She was in the middle of the committee, came out, and we actually met with her team the next day. And that's all the Florida representatives that were up there. Next picture's a little bit funnier. Next shot. And there we go with Congressman Bilirakis. And I'll tell you, one of the things I was up there we were talking about was the Steps to Recovery program for the veterans going from 32 to 64. They've been so afraid about getting the extension. When Secretary Collins from the VA was presenting in front of the whole NACO County Commissioners, he made a comment. He says, look, we're cutting. We don't have any extra money to throw out there, but if there's any help you need in process to help the veterans, let us know. So we introduced to a lady that was there in the audience. JJ was phenomenal, sprinted to the back, got her card. I got to talk to her the next day. From the midst of talking to Congressman Bilirakis to talking to the Steps to Recovery team, they had a special board meeting, approved to look for ask for the extension to kind of like look for the 64 beds to go make that step if they get the VA extension. Congressman Bilirakis is still, I think, getting ready to meet. I haven't got the word back yet. But he's going to meet with Secretary Collins. He thinks he's going to get it done. They'll have the extension. So we're going to go from 32 beds instead. We'll be able to go to 62 beds using CDBG DR money that all qualifies through. So it could be a great day for our vets Again, it was just great being up there, watching things happen up there was crazy. Next one. And FEMA was unbelievable.
Yeah?
Talking to, I mean, Mike was on the line, JJ was there, and the two firefighters with us. And it was such a great conversation. Aubrey right there was the one who facilitated everybody in the room. And literally, we talked about the pickup, how it went for the trash. How I said when you hire the top guy from the bid, the way you put it out there, that top guy goes out there, he finds an intermediary. Then they hire the people to actually do the work, and they make next to nothing. I says, the way we had it set up after Helene came in and Milton was coming, what you let us go do is hire direct. We got much better work, tremendous pickup, and the money stayed right in the economy. They're gonna go work with us to get a baseline to find out how much trash we get. Because I told them, I says, what you make us do is you make us pick it up by volume, then it's gotta go to a spot, they gotta crush it down, then it goes to another spot, I says, all that touch, I says, we're a county that's got a burn plant. If you knew how much trash we took in and had a baseline of that, so let's say the months before, 2 months before it became pre-closed, give us that baseline number, and whatever trash I bring in by weight from there, if I decide to burn it, move it, store it, with metals, recycling, then let me go separate it all out and not have to do it the way you're doing it. I said, we could probably do it cheaper, get it better, and get it done quicker. So they were agreeable to that. Another conversation was about as far as mitigation goes. I said, I've got all these mobile home trailers that if they were just up about 4 feet higher, probably had like next to nothing for damage. If I had homes that were just up 4 feet higher in certain areas along the coast, they would be higher. They'd be safer. You might have cut down 95, 99% of your damage if everything was just 5 foot higher. Instead of going up to the full BFE and over and above, let me do a compromised position because you would have saved millions, maybe billions of dollars up and down the area. I said, so if you would, let's go take a look at doing that. I know it goes against what you want, but if it's a middle position, that makes people safer. They can stay in their home, and you can spend a whole lot less money. Let's go take a look at it. They're willing to go take a look at it. So
good.
Literally the attitude in DC right now is phenomenal. They want to look the cut, but they want to do efficiency things. They don't want to just keep doing things the way they've been doing it for year after year. So that was like a great set of meetings. We're going to do some follow-ups with them about the different things we talked about. Next page. We got a few sets. So Sunwest Park, you guys got to go see this at some point. So this is around the second lake. Look how wide that is. They were able to raise it up just with the dirt that was there, level it all down, raise it up so it's nice and high, so it'd be safe, protected. It's not going to be able to put a trailer on. Just go ahead and go to the next couple of pictures. There's like another section around the corner. There's my wife, Michelle.
Was that the west side or south side?
That was on the, be the
South
north,
side?
the north side.
The
and this
north
here
side?
would be
The north side
that
is-
would be the west side there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on the west side out. That's looking for the west side back over the lake. There's the side running to the south on the south side. Next picture. Now this is
Nice.
on the back of the big lake.
Okay, gosh,
And
you
if
could have
look
high
out there.
school races
Yes,
there.
Yes, yeah. So on the backside, you can see the white beach. That's where the other side of the lake is. Literally, when we had the Scholar Fest last year, I could hear the music walking the lake all the way across. So now we're set up to open up on April 12th. We're going to do a ribbon cutting for this. This is getting paved this week. And this is good enough for a 5K run around it.
Yeah, exactly.
Christine is actually set up a 10K run as well. Took around the whole lake and around. So what we're going to be able to do out there, I'm looking at every
We want to see Carvalho in that race.
There you go. Got to get Mike. But I'm looking at all the charities we have and all the high schools and middle schools, et cetera, that want to do runs, fun runs, et cetera. We should be able to do at least 2 to 3, let's say every weekend, and maybe 2 to 3, depending on how you do it during the day. You could actually do it, and everybody's safe. We can get all the stuff from Sports Coast, all the supplies we need, and just kind of like create a great environment for our people, let them have some fun, and I think make it an even better place. Next pages.
Running is not fun.
You can walk, fun run, fun walk. There's a barge picking up wharf stocks and everything around there. I'll tell you, Colleen.
What is all that?
That's debris in the canals.
bring the canal from like
the
the
people
Oxford
been throwing in?
line, et cetera.
I hope
Or
they
just
get
like the
the,
broke away docks that slipped away. So, yeah, so Colleen, you want to come up? Go ahead, talk about it for a second.
we heard people were throwing things in that canal too.
Well, I'll tell you, we actually found a trailer
Wow.
with a pipe going right into the canal.
Nice.
Denise is working on it right now with Colleen and trying to track that down. But go
We
ahead and
are
talk
so
about it.
far ahead. I watched down when Ian hit, and it took them over a year to go into these canals and get the debris out, fish it out. And that all breaks down and makes the water quality horrible for our canals.
I have debris stuck under my second boat lift that was floating out. We don't know what, someone's dock or something?
Yep, dock.
Can this guy come get it?
Absolutely.
They can. You just,
Okay.
I've been
connection for
actually
you.
collecting
Okay.
addresses. I've sent it to all the HOAs
I'm gonna
asking
text you
for
Max right now.
maps. We've been sending maps to our waste team.
We didn't know how to get it out.
Tim Tresher and Kevin Pliska, they've done a marvelous job, but we're so far ahead just because it took them over a year down to get all this stuff out in Ian, and I'm pushed them to start looking at it immediately. So that was just the first one, so there's a lot more to come out of the canals.
Colleen, appreciate all your help.
Thank
It's Colleen Weaver. Okay. We had the presidential vestiture at Pasco Handle State College. What an awesome day that was. Great celebration. We are very lucky to have Jesse in our midst.
Yeah,
Doing a great
great
job.
guy.
A picture of us. Senator Simpson was there. Former President Beard, now interim president of FAMU. So the Shrimp and Crab Fest, for the first time, where they had the bands and everything else, was now a paved parking lot. Just, I'd say, just walking in there, it just looked completely different, such a positive thing. And then talking to all the vendors that were out there, just like they were amazed how great the park was. This will show you a couple of pictures. There's one of the bands playing, different food trucks that were out there.
Yeah.
I'd say everybody had a great time. The vendors were so thrilled with it. And the people had a blast.
Looks great.
Yeah. The truck's going away, don't worry. But there's all the people sitting out there in a nice,
Yeah.
nice atmosphere. All right.
Whose stage was that?
Rented stage. All right, so this is, just so you know, this is at Foxfire and Peachtree. Actually, Colony Road and Foxfire, the Colony Road project. I'm showing you just a few things around the area just to get a
Seen
feel for
illegally
what's going on.
parked Jeep.
You know, it's got a U-turn, a U-turn, a U-turn. All right, keep going. That was taken by Clint Wynn. Now, there's a picture. Remember I told you about a road was going through and they had a T section going through? If you look to the left picture between the three trees that are there, you see three little pylons right there. And then there's like a little dip in the road, but they put a connection for it to go to the side of the house, which is not far from the street. That's why I said the connection we should be working on. We're doing it there.
Clip the corner? Kind of clip the corner?
It's just even going through, it sets up for a T there. Well, why it's a T right there with the open fence doesn't make sense to me, but
Okay.
it goes into a valley and people all know them. Sorry, next picture. So this is the side of that same street. This is a side street that goes out to Colony, but you don't have any drainage in here, and everything's from above that kind of flows down, and the roads are getting washed out now. I don't want to say washed out, but they're getting water when they had before. But we had this development come in, no sidewalk beside it, on a road going all the way down.
How was that?
I don't know, haven't asked the question yet, but we're throwing it out there now. Go ahead to the next picture. So there's a picture of the same fence with the gap. Go ahead. There's a picture of the T, kind of how it just opened up, but.
I kind of think those
It's
fences
someone's
need to be
backyard.
masonry.
It's someone's backyard that we should be blocking that off. This is out on Colony Road, so here's the end of it.
What?
The roadway.
And the drainage is right there?
Right? I mean, what are we doing?
Who did that?
I don't know. And here's what go to the worst part. Go to the
But I
next
see
picture.
Metro's lights were there.
Yeah. So here's right beside where that was. Now, there's a sidewalk going out to the street on Colony, but nothing going up and down on Colony. And then if you look, there's no drainage here, so I got a culvert right there, taking all that storm water. Go ahead and take the next picture. Next picture. So there's a culvert, and look on both sides. I got a culvert. All that water is supposed to go where? Right? Where's it got to go? There's nowhere for it to go, and it takes all that from up there. So you had all that opportunity to go through to put drainage in, but we didn't put it in place. Nor a sidewalk running all the way down.
Yeah, can we have someone look at this, Mr. Carvalho?
So go ahead, next picture. This is on 52. Now, 52, we just improved the road. We're making this a vision road. When we're repaving that and knowing this was a vision road, if it was done at time, I don't know yet. But that would have been the time for a turn lane, don't you think? If I'm gonna get that road going all the way up. It didn't happen. But there's all that land that's there. Go to the next picture. That's it? Okay. Well, anyways, if you look at all that land right there, you got an opportunity for something to happen.
Is that,
So anyway,
what intersection is that?
that's at Colony Road and 52.
Okay.
There's like a Dunkin' Donuts just there, next to a Dollar
Oh,
General.
yeah,
By the
yeah.
way, staff did a great job making Dunkin' connect, the roadway connecting in with Dollar General, did a great job there. But again, if we're gonna be looking at the long-term plan, we just gotta like really focus on this stuff. And I really think staff needs to, before this hearing comes up for cycle sim again, to go out there and go look at this whole area. The Palm Woods neighborhood to the north, nice shot all the way out, all the way down, that connects in. There's no reason we shouldn't have the same thing coming up here, but we'll get to that hearing later on. But I just think it's important for everyone to see this stuff here. I was with the residents yesterday. So, that's all I have? Okay. All right.
Mr. Carvalho?
Thank you.
I just wanted to echo what Commissioner Mariani had said about the Washington DC trip. I felt that, we did a good job of establishing relationships again with our federal delegation, reinforcing those, but as well as a lot of these agencies and folks within the agencies. So the next steps would be to follow up with those folks and again, to continue to improve our approach to federal relations between the county and federal government. So other than that, no, thank you.
Thank you for coming up there. It was great.
One of you two.
I don't have anything, thank you. I'll yield to the clerk.
Yes, Nikki, Clerk Alvarez-Soles had just a couple items she'd like to bring forward. Recently, we had Passport Saturday, and 86 passports in one day. The volume of passports that our office, there's two good things that the clerk's office, the fun things that the clerk's office gets to do, and that's passports and marriage licenses. Most of the reason our other people come on any given day is not a good thing. So passports, so we wanted to thank facilities and the county for coordinating with us to make that happen on the Saturday, the 1st of March. And we also wanted to mention out there that on the other side of the coin, Operation Greenlight. So we want to get the word out that Operation Greenlight is continuing through Friday, March the 21st. For those of you not familiar with it, that means you don't have a suspended license or an outstanding ticket, but that there are substantial fees that are being waived during this time period to enable people to get their licenses back in good condition, and by waiving some of those fees. So if you know someone, now's the time to take advantage of Operation Greenlight and be able to save money and get back on good graces with your driver's license. Thank you.
That's it? Okay, well, go to my pictures. I think the first one's Baycare, and yeah, we're the first ones in the state, if not the country, to do this. So I'm very, very proud of this one. Actually, when we had our tri-county meeting with the commissioners from the other, with Hillsborough and Pinellas, if you remember, we had asked for updates on what they were doing with the opioid money, and both of those counties came up and said what they were thinking about doing, and then our staff came up and said, we're doing this, Paula, we're doing this, we're doing this, and we're doing this. And I'll tell you, I had dinner with Commissioner Peters and Commissioner Scheer in Washington from Pinellas, and they were very impressed. And Commissioner Peters, who does a lot with behavioral health, is coming up to take a look at our program. And actually, I think we should be submitting it for a NACO award.
Yes.
And I want to hook you guys up with that committee at NACO to be part of a conference call, and maybe even present. But
Commissioner Starkey?
Yeah.
And the way they did that building was so phenomenal, wasn't it?
I didn't get to go in it because
Oh,
I
you
had
didn't?
another meeting, I had to zip out, so.
I'm telling you, the way they designed that building was very efficient, but the textures, everything was just so well set up. I mean, it was I knew it was going to be good, but it was absolutely phenomenal how great it was.
I'm looking forward to my tour. All right, yes, the NACO Legislative Conference. There we are at dinner with the commissioners from Pinellas and JJ. And we just had a wonderful conference and time on the Hill. I think that our legislative delegation, we met with Senator Scott and Bill Rakis, and then you met with Lee, but we met with her staff. They're very receptive to, I think, some of the things that we're asking for, especially the EOC money. And I'm trying to remember who that is speaking up there. Oh, Canada. That was the Canadian Embassy. The Board of Directors had an event there, and I think it was the Board of Directors. Yeah. And, you know, they're not happy about the tariffs, so I left right after that to join you guys with our lobbyists for dinner. But I'm sorry for those who got sick in Washington because there was a lot of flu going around. What's next? What else do we have? Oh, we went to tour Station 17. You know, I drive by this all the time, and this is the one that stopped. The contractor went out of business, and the bond company had to find a new company. So it's finally open. It is something. I wish I had a kitchen like that. That's all I can say. They say that the people drive by, honk the horn because they're so excited that it's finally open. So that was a fun day. What else do we have? I went to the Cultural Affairs Advisory Committee meeting yesterday. I think it was yesterday at Starkey Cultural Center. Great group of folks, and they have some really big ideas, and I look forward to them one day coming and talking in front of us. But on Tuesday, Mike Carbala and I and whoever else is going, we're going to tour the museum that's at Wendell Crinn. It's supposed to be fantastic. And then we're going up to Tallahassee. So if anyone wants to come, tour Wendell Crinn, 10 a.m. on Tuesday. You know, half of that school was Ridgewood, and it's now Wendell Crinn Technical School, and the other half, the school district has lent it 5,000 feet to this gentleman who has an amazing archaeological collection, of which most of it is in storage. So I think we're gonna, I've heard it's amazing. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay, driving up here, I was on the Sun Coast, and I was behind a coastal truck. I'll talk about that in a second. The coastal truck, and garbage was just coming out of the back. I don't know who Coastal is. Is that one of our trucks?
Coastal is one of the new vendors in Pasco.
Okay, I mean, every 10 seconds a bag was coming out. It was really frustrating, and I honked at him when I drove past him, but I'm sure he didn't know why I was honking at him. But, you know, I couldn't let it go by without doing something. Didn't flip the finger at him, but he wouldn't have known what that was for either. Okay, I was wondering if we received the septic to sewer grant for Riverside Village, because I heard we would get our answer. Representative Yeager was working on it. Heard we'd get our answer by the time the session started. So this was the FGOA request. No one knows?
I have not heard, but we'll reach out.
Okay, I think she's texting Brad, so.
Commissioner Chair
Yeah.
Starkey, to that point, FDEP at Springs Coast did a presentation on nitrates and how other water springs committees throughout the state manage their programs. And I asked the question, well, who has the model as far as nitrogen and septic to sewer and all the proactive steps that we take? And the DEP agency head over it said our Springs Coast Steering Committee in this area, that collectively the cities and the counties that are involved in this spring shed management plans and the BMAPs that we're #1 and that they use us as the model. So points like what Commissioner Yeager's
Wow.
working on and Representative Yeager's working on as far as trying to septic sewer conversions and all. We're seemingly, our region is leading the state.
We haven't done one in our county, so it's not
our
us.
county, but
It's
but
Fernando
but
County.
But it's a region effort. Everybody's
citrus.
voting to it.
Yeah.
So, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is
So while
cool.
you're, might be frustrated, we're not getting them here, our region, it's just a matter of time, because our region is leading the way on
Well,
those efforts.
I look forward to our first septic to sewer conversion. Okay, I sent this to Sean. I don't know where I got this, but House Bill 481. And is Key still here? No. So if you've been to Anclote River Park, I'm sure many of you have been, and you see, let me send you this picture. I'm going to send this to Tony. Okay, let me do this one before I go to that. Commissioner, I was on just looking over here on Colony. I see a picture from Google Earth of cars on the road. This is, we can't have, we need code enforcement up in our district. These are just wrecked up cars along the side of the road in, on Colony. So it's just not a good environment for people to live in. All right. 481 has to, someone sponsored it, has to do with mooring balls. And if you've, Tony, if you got that picture,
I'm waiting on it, still don't have it.
okay, I might have sent it to the wrong Tony. But if you've been to Anclote River where the boat ramps are, there's all these mooring balls there by the Gulf, by the power station. And they are there 365 days a year, and they're using what should be traveling mooring balls as their own mooring ball place. And Keith had told me there was nothing we could do about it. And I want to 100% support this House Bill 481, which, are you coming up on the language? I don't know if you have this up in Hudson with mooring balls. Do you guys know what a mooring ball is? It's one of those balls that's permanently there in the water, and when you're visiting somewhere, you tie up to it. These guys have hogged them all there at Tarpon. They just live there. We have a liveaboard on there.
What this bill does is restrict local regulations of vessels outside of marked boundaries and mooring fields in certain counties and areas of critical state concern. This only deals with Miami-Dade and the Biscayne Bay.
So how can we get included? Because it's not fair that those boats are tying those up, and then when other boaters are coming to the area, they cannot tie up and swim to land. And
You would have to get the person who's running the bill to amend it and.
Yeah, so basically it says regulations, all right, so then we go down further. Critical concern designated specified sections at Biscayne Bay and Miami-Dade County as grandfathered in anchoring limitation areas. Increases prohibited anchoring and mooring distances of vessels floating structures near public mooring fields. So I'd have to go in and look, and then I'll see if there's right now, there is not there is a Senate sponsor, 866. And if there's something that you want us to try to address, we can go talk to this.
well, what do you think? These are public mooring balls, and these people get on them, and they're on there forever.
Who installed them?
I don't know.
I mean,
Were they, is it?
I
Would it be
need Keith
Pinellas
to answer
County?
that one. No, they're in our county.
They're in Pasco.
They're in our county. They're in the right off the docks of Anclote River Park.
Then we would think it would be.
I'll send this picture to you, Mike, and then,
Yeah, and then,
someone said, cool, thanks, whatever Tony that was that I sent that to.
and then I'll get with the county attorney and we'll discuss this a little bit further.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna step away then. I got another bill I've got to amend, so I gotta go on a conference call right now.
Okay, but I just, okay, I sent it to you, maybe you can send it to that Tony, because I only have that Tony in by first name too. I have too many Tonys. I'd like there to be a rule that you can't stay there for more than 2 or 3 days. I mean, you can't permanently hog a public mooring ball. So, okay.
Something doesn't sound right about not being able to do anything if they were installed by us, and they are public. That's, granted, it's been 20 years since I've done this research, but that's why you create a mooring field, is so that you can control how people are anchoring in your jurisdiction.
So can anyone just drop a mooring ball anywhere they want and have their own private little marina? Well, I mean, because that's kind of what's going on over there. They have their own private marina.
Well, you'd have to have them permitted by DEP to install them if it is in fact a mooring field.
I think we need to look at it. Did you get the picture, Mike?
Sometimes they own some of the
Okay.
water.
All right, and while he's loading that up, the last thing I did was, I toured Angeline with David Engel, and, I was really concerned about their trails. Granted, they're not built yet, but I have better hopes that we're gonna have some good trails in there. I'm gonna try and help them to make it even better. But if you haven't visited their little farm, it's absolutely charming, so. Did you get it?
Madam Chair?
Well, that's, yeah?
While you wait on that, can I bring up something that I forgot?
Yeah, is this what this is?
Yes.
Okay, everyone got one of these?
So while up in DC, I was talking with a group, this group here, Markman and Guidehouse, and there's others out there as well. They do consulting for it. I was looking at Sarasota, how they started out with one. It worked out pretty well for them. They're doing more of this stuff of their own. One of the things, they met with HUD, and actually they were trying to get the exemption for us to be able to use CDBG money for our emergency center. And that conversation is going on. They're actually pushing it as well. I think they might be able to help us with like Magnolia Valley. They might be able to help us with Sandra Drive relocation project for the trailers that are on the water that got flooded out, to go inland a little bit and make some things happen there. So I think one of the things I recommended, Mike, was just because the timeline is so quick, that maybe you should be looking doing a 30 or a 60-day extension letter to them, if you haven't done that already. But it might be a good thing to give just a little more time to go. I know I was pushing hard to try to get us to it quick, but I think maybe a 30 or 60-day might be a good idea to go take a look at.
When the appropriate time is here, we've already contemplated an extension.
Okay.
So we think that the timeline actually is going to be self-corrected with the new universal notice, but if we don't get anything
There it is.
in 30 days or so, then we'll take that as residential.
Okay, all right.
It looks like those boats are sunken, and maybe there are some sunken ones, I don't know. But that is the area that I'm talking about, that these boats are there 365 days a year.
That's crazy.
They never move. Yeah, or if they go out and come back to their ball. No one, it's like a free marina, and so I'd like an investigation into that. Mike, I keep forgetting to ask you about this, but we need to have coding parcels on the property appraiser's website, so we need to talk to Wells on this. Yeah, you know what, I need my staff to explain that a little more, but there's something missing. Yeah, I'll talk to you about this. Something to do with real property, and they're not coding it right. Okay, if that's it, then we are adjourned.
and other aquatic animals. Storm drains are meant for clean rainwater. Most other If you suspect please contact Pasco County Department of Public Works at 727-1.